Welcome to the fantasy audiobook. Naruto. Unlimited enhancement every 60 days. Chapter 81. Why did you look like a little Sakura? Of course it is to keep a low profile. Low key. Yes, Seal Ninja, substitute Rayya, my name is too loud now. Without concealment, countless fanatical fans of the Iron Country rushed up. The scene was chaotic, and it was not conducive to the work of the guard. Haven't you woken up yet? Ha ha. In the early morning of the next day, facing Tsunade and Hong's question, Rayya smiled and talked nonsense. The transformation is of course to prevent being recognized by Terumi Mei. As for why Rayya turned into a small Sakura, in fact, Rayya originally wanted to become Hinata, and Ino would do fine, but Hinata's Byakugan and Ino's mind-turning secret technique cannot be imitated. It's easy to show up, so I turned into a plain little Sakura. Moreover, he has developed a strange power, which is also in line with the abilities of the little Sakura. One more thing, Rayya is still a little bit cautious. During the meeting, Sasuke is likely to appear, but for the little Sakura, Sasuke still has feelings. At that time, take advantage of his carelessness, let him taste the iron fist of love from the little Sakura. Please show your credentials. With that said, everyone has arrived at the meeting place. For this conference, Iron Country provided the venue and was also responsible for security work, and the Five Shadows had to be cautious. So outside the venue, a large number of samurai were arranged. The most important reason why the Iron Nation became a neutral country and recognized by the major powers is that they don't have ninjas. Correspondingly, it is an armed force called samurai. These samurai are equipped with at least 2 katana, and chakra can be concentrated on the sword when fighting. Although the abilities are not as diverse as the ninja, the strength is actually not weak. Welcome to Lord Naruto. After confirming his identity, the samurai respectfully saluted and let him go. At this moment, one of them suddenly asked, I wonder if Takagi Rayya, a ninja from your village, can go with him. Rayya. Tsunade glanced at Rayya, who had transformed into a little Sakura, then turned to the samurai. I wonder if you are looking for Rayya, what's the matter? I have heard Konohagakure Takagi Rayya, Zan is as fast as lightning, and I am waiting for the samurai to see the style. Although he spoke politely and couldn't see his face with a mask, the expression in his eyes and tone of voice, the eagerness to win, couldn't conceal it at all. The so-called Juhei/is. So, Tsunade looked at Rayya again, saw Rayya deliberately looking away, couldn't help but smile, and then walked inside. Not coming. It's a pity. In fact, even if Tsunade didn't say it, the samurai guessed it. After all, the information shows that Takagi Rayya is a male, and Konoha and 3 of them are female. But at this time I got an accurate answer, and I was still full of disappointment. Please come here. But after all, work is important, and I don't care about regrets, and start to lead the way. How is it going? Following Tsunade, Rayya was smug and whispered. I said I have a lot in the Iron Country. Well, this is fulfilled. Can't you tell me, people are not convinced of you. Black Powder is also a fan. Or I will tell you who you are, and you can communicate with your fans. Ahem, business matters, Hokage-sama, walk well and be careful of slippery feet. Little devil head. Tsunade smiled and couldn't help becoming more and more, wondering why Rayya wanted to transform, but since Rayya didn't want to say it, she didn't ask more. Next, under the leadership of the samurai, a group of people came to the venue and was arranged to rest in a room temporarily. After about half an hour, someone came to inform that the 5 shadows had arrived and could start. Everyone got up and came to the meeting room. The conference room is divided into 2 floors. Below is the 5 shadows and the head of the Iron Country Mifune, where the meeting is held. The second floor is where the guards stay. Little Sakura. Tamari, Kankuro. When I went upstairs, I met Funying's guards. Everyone was considered old acquaintances, and they greeted with a smile. It turned out to be Sakura sauce. I thought it would be Takagi Rayya. Yes, what about Rayya, why didn't he come? He happened to have something. Faced with the 2 iron han of Sand Shinobi, Rayya grinned reluctantly and asked whether you Sand Shinobi talked like this. Fortunately, he is Rayya and not the little Sakura, otherwise he must have gone violently. As the escort of the shadow, it's not to chat. After a brief greeting, everyone looked for a place to stand and guard their respective shadows closely. Rayya took a look, he was really Mizukage Terumime that day. At this time, Gokage is already seated, and under the auspices of Mifune, the meeting officially begins. And the theme of this meeting is Aka, Konoha, Sand Shinobi, Rock Shinobi, Mist Shinobi are your betrayers, for Medishao. And according to my investigation, some of you have a deal with Shao. This meeting was initiated by Raikage, but in fact, he didn't want to discuss with other villages how to deal with Shao, but to question and reprimand. Speaking of it, the only thing in the Akatsuki organization is that there is no rebelliousness of Cloud Shinobi village. Both Sand Shinobi and Rock Shinobi have hired Akatsuki, and Mist Shinobi is suspected to be the birthplace of Akatsuki. I don't trust you. I'm not even in the mood to talk to you. I summon you to ask carefully, do you have any real morality? Boom. While speaking, the angry Raikage raised his hand and directly smashed the conference table in front of him. Whoosh whoosh. At the same time, the guards of the villages, and the 2 guards of the 3 ships, instantly guarded in front of their respective shadows, watching Raikage vigilantly. Konoha. Raikage, who is hot-tempered and arrogant, didn't pay attention to these guards at all, and then turned straight to Tsunade. Uchiha Sasuke, the rebel in your village, took away my younger brother Bai. Now I ask you to issue an order to kill Uchiha Sasuke. Uchiha Sasuke did leave the village privately, but he has not yet been officially designated as a traitor. Whether he has captured your people still needs to be verified. Tsunade has a bad temper, and said to Raikage unceremoniously. And what Konoha decides does not need Cloud Shinobi village to dictate. Tsunade Haim, you want, well, seeing that the 2 of them were about to quarrel, Rayya couldn't help but speak. Perhaps Mr. Killer Bee is not in danger. It is possible that he escaped by himself, only to hide temporarily. Okay. Raikage was startled slightly, looked at Rayya, and couldn't help asking. Why do you make such a assertion? Hehe, I guessed it too. Rayya smiled. He can't always say that he is a traverser, then he said. As far as I know about Sasuke, his strength is probably not enough to catch Mr. Killer Bee who perfectly controls the tail beast. What do you know about Sasuke? Raikage looks at Rayya up and down, with a suspicious expression on his face. What is your relationship with Uchiha Kid? Classmate. I don't think it's just a simple classmate. At this time, Tsuchikage's guard Hei-tu said with a teasing smile. And everyone is a woman, looking at Rayya with an expression that I understand. Ah, Rayya looked embarrassed. He is now a little Sakura, and he is really no ordinary classmate. Unexpectedly, upon hearing this, Raikage was furious and rushed towards Rayya with a loud shout. I will pack you Uchiha's mistress first. Raikage had already rushed up, Ryuya's face sank, and he greeted him without hesitation. Bang! The next moment, Raikage's fist and Ryuya's forearm slammed into each other, making a dull loud noise. But looking at it now, the 2 are at each other, and no one takes advantage. Blocked. It actually blocked Raikage's fist. Seeing this scene, everyone present changed their faces and looked at Rayya with surprise. This little girl who is not well known actually took a punch from Raikage. Some people who don't know the details of Raikage are okay, but people such as Tsuchikage know that Cloud Shinobi village has always been strong, and Raikage is the strongest in their village. Also, influenced by the ancestors, Raikage is good at ninjutsu, and his physique is comparable to monsters. Even though he didn't try his best just now, he was already very strong when he was accepted so easily. Little Sakura is progressing so fast. On the other side, Temari and Kankuro were shocked intentionally and accidentally. Unexpectedly, it was only 2 or 3 years, and the little Sakura has become so strong. This kid. Tsunade smiled at the corner of his mouth and said in his heart anyway. Little Sakura is her disciple, so let Rayya help her make a name for herself. Although Rayya didn't use skills, he didn't activate chi and blood flow, or enter sage mode. But through these years of cultivation, his body has become extremely strong. After all, with the heart of a tail beast, and the 700 million giant lungs, his innate conditions far exceed those of ordinary people. In this way, it can take the punch of Raikage. But I have to say that Raikage deserves to be the representative of the reckless man. This punch is really heavy. Hehe. Uchiha's mistress, really have 2 sons. Although this punch only used 30% of its strength, it was actually received. Raikage was also an accident and couldn't help but re-examine the girl in front of him. At any rate, Raikage, a mistress in one mouthful, is too unqualified. Ryuya's face can't help but become more. Then next, taste the fist of my 10% strength. At this time, Raikage yelled and slammed it again. Ryuya's face didn't change, and she fisted to meet him. Boom. The next moment, two fists collided, and only a loud noise was heard, and Raikage was blown out directly. This is. Raikage was actually beaten into the air, and everyone's face changed again. Weird power. It turned out to be Tsunadeji's disciple. But then, in the flying dust, Raikage walked out unharmed, looking at Ryuya with a gloomy expression. At this time, Raikage was flashing with electricity, and the thunder attribute chakra wrapped in it was almost visible to the naked eye. This is Raikage's ability to wind lightning around his body to activate his body, a ninjutsu called lightning style chakra mode. Naruto-sama. Using strange power just now, I was caught off guard against flying Raikage. But at this time, it is not so simple. Ryuya looked serious and said to Tsunade, "Please back off. I will leave it to you next, Sakura sauce." Tsunade smiled, said something deliberately, and then jumped to the second floor. Raikage was already angry, and the others didn't dare to jump up to the second floor. Immediately afterwards, the four shadows, the leader of the Iron Nation, Mifune, and theirs, all stared below this Konoha ninja and Raikage battle. Boom. After the clearing of the field, without any consideration, the thunder exerted force, and the bluestone ground instantly shattered, and then rushed towards Ryuya like a thunder light. The surrounding lightning-style chakra can not only increase attack power and use it for defense, but also increase nerve conduction speed. The more lightning-style chakra, the faster the speed. The whole person is like blue lightning, and the speed is even comparable to the fourth Hokage known as the Golden Flash. But obviously, Raikage didn't want to win with speed, and it still rushed straight. Ryuya. Sakura wa Chong. This is still trying to compare. With strength, Ryuya's face sank, and chakra gathered his fists all over his body and directly greeted him. Boom. The next moment, the two fists collided, and there was a loud roar again. And the huge impact, like a hurricane, instantly lifted the conference table and cleared the conference room on the first floor. This is. When the dust passed, everyone hurriedly looked again. In the middle of the venue, Ryuya and Raikage fisted each other, and no one could beat anyone back. The so-called Sakura Flower Chong is just like Pain Feet. It's an application of strange power, but it's just the place where chakra concentrates. Although it is only a level skill, the users are different, and the power is also very different. The number of Ryuya chakra is extremely large, and after a little concentration and release, its power can be called terrifying. It is precisely because of this that it can withstand Raikage's punch. Uchiha's little mistress, be careful next. Raikage looked at Ryuya and said lightly. Boom. In the next moment, the concentration of chakra in the whole body more than doubled instantly. Obviously, Raikage has not used all his strength before this. After all, even if he is energized, the person opposite is just a Konoha junior. But after this blow, he had already recognized the strength of this junior, so he put away his contempt and showed his true strength. My mistress, sister. Ryuya became more annoyed and kicked it. Whoosh. But the next moment, Raikage's figure flickered, leaving only an electric light on the spot, and her figure disappeared instantly. This is. At this time, the strength of the audience, whether it is a film or a guard, is at the top. But Raikage's speed is so fast, they even can't see clearly. Byakugan. Terumi Mei's guard, Ching, even opened Byakugan. At this time, Ryuya was also frowning in the field, and he was worthy of a golden flash, and his eyes could not keep up. Simply give up vision and switch to listening to sound. Uchiha's mistress. Take my punch. The next moment, with a loud shout, Raikage appeared behind Ryuya, just a punch. Boom. Then there was a loud noise, and the floor of the venue was smashed out of a huge pit. Fortunately, Ryuya was not hit. Tracking Raikage's movements with ears, this is just enough to dodge. Whoosh. After missing a punch, Raikage flashed and rushed towards Ryuya again. Boom. Boom. The next moment, where Raikage went, there was a loud roar. The originally neat and serious meeting room quickly became riddled with defects. Raikage's speed is too fast. Rayya can only dodge through anticipation, occasionally hitting back casually. What a scary Raikage. Seeing this scene, everyone was stunned. This is simply a humanoid monster. You know, when Raikage was young, he once cut off the horns of 8 tails with one hand, and the humanoid monster really deserves its name. This Konoha girl. At the same time, everyone couldn't help but admire Rayya, who was still entangled with Raikage in this situation. Little Sakura has become. Is he so strong? Temari and Kankuro, who know little Sakura better, are completely dumbfounded. Little Sakura has become too strong. Boom. Then, there was another loud noise, and in the dust, Rayya jumped out again. Ha, ha. Looking back at this time, Rayya gasped heavily, her face solemn. It's not working. That is Raikage after all. It is not easy to be able to do this. Upon seeing this, everyone couldn't help but talk, and they all thought that little Sakura could no longer hold on. At the same time, I am not stingy in complimenting this little girl. It looks like it's not working. Rayya took a deep breath and regained his breath, frowning slightly. Then his face sank, and he gave a soft drink. Blood flow. Chi and blood flow. With the 700 million giant lungs, a large amount of oxygen is instantly inhaled, which stimulates physical activity, and the physical attributes are instantly increased by 5 times. Whoosh! After the surge in attributes, Rayya shook his body and rushed directly to Raikage. So fast. Seeing the afterimage in the same place, the audience was shocked again. Boom! And then, with a loud noise, Rayya has already played against Raikage again. Just turning on the blood flow, Rayya is not enough to defeat Raikage in lightning-style chakra mode, but finally he has the strength to compare with him. Boom boom boom. The next moment, I saw 2 figures entangled together, that is, a dense burst of loud noise, like countless muffled thunder rolling. Swish, swish, and under the impact of the strength of the collision between the two, the huge and sturdy venue couldn't help shaking, and the dust was constantly falling. Is this going to be demolished here? Darui, Raikage's guard, couldn't help sighing, as if he had seen countless scenes similar to those that happened in Cloud Shinobi Village before. Boom! At this moment, amidst the intensive collision, Raikage's roar suddenly sounded. The next moment, I saw him wrapping a large number of lightning-style chakras fists and hitting Ryuya's chin directly with an uppercut. Whoosh! Just at this moment, Ryuya's figure flickered and disappeared from where she was in an instant. Boom! Raikage's mist fist engulfed the airflow to form a powerful air cannon. Then with a loud noise, a huge hole was punched at the top of the stadium. Really? Darui shook his head, with a look that he had known for a long time, and he couldn't escape the fate of being destroyed. Quote. At this time, everyone else was dumbfounded. Just by stirring the air with power, you can blast through the roof. What kind of power is this? Where are you going? At this time, Raikage, who failed with one punch, had no other intention except the battle. He roared, then turned into blue electric light, and went straight to Ryuya, who was out of the way. So fast. At this time, everyone suddenly discovered that compared to before, Raikage's speed has become faster. Enter full power mode. Seeing this scene, even Darui, who had been lazy, opened his eyes instantly. This kind of speed shows that Raikage has already used all her strength. A little Konoha girl can make Raikage do her best, she can't believe it. Bad. At this time, Ryuya, looking at the menacing and lightning-fast Raikage, couldn't help but frown. Whoosh! At this time, Raikage had already hit with a punch, flashed, and used body replacement technique to escape again. After all, it is comparable to the speed of Golden Flash, in this case. There was no way to retain strength anymore, the enhanced body replacement technique was fully opened. Woo, woo, woo. The next moment, I saw Ryuya flashing on the court. And Raikage is like a blue lightning, constantly chasing Ryuya's figure. This is. Seeing this scene, everyone was dumbfounded. What kind of terrifying speed this is? Flying Thunder God. This kind of teleportation ninjutsu, everyone can't help but think of 4th Hokage's famous ninjutsu in the 3 wars. But it is incredible that a little Konoha girl can master this kind of space ninjutsu. No, it seems. At the same time, if you look closely, Someone like Mizukage Terumi can't help but see that it looks a little different from Flying Thunder God. Haha, what a girl. In the battlefield, Raikage, who turned into a thunder, suddenly laughed happily. Such speed reminds the old man of the golden flashes on the battlefield back then, and only golden flashes can compete with the old man in speed. In the third ninja war that year, 4th Hokage did fight against Raikage. In addition to Raikage, there was Killer Bee at the time, and in the end no one could do anything about it. At this time, in the flash of Rayya, Raikage seemed to have found the blood on the battlefield. Trouble. Raikage is getting through quickly, but Rayya can't help but frown. After all, he didn't come to fight with Raikage. Besides, they are not enemies, and even if Raikage gets on the ground, it won't do him any good. Rayya gradually calmed down and already wanted to end this meaningless battle. But look at Raikage again, a posture of an addictive combat madman. If you don't lay down on him, I'm afraid you can't finish it. What's this called? Rayya frowned again, which was a break with his bare hands. 8 Tails, a madman with a horn, wanted to lay down on him, he was easy. Water style. Water array. At this moment, a soft drink suddenly sounded from above, and then, a water ball like a meteorite suddenly fell. Boom, boom. The water drops exploded after landing, and a large amount of water flowed around and spread the impact. The entire venue was instantly swallowed by flood water. Mizukage. A blue electric light fell on the surface of the dissipated water, and Raikage looked at Terumi who had jumped off the field, and roared angrily. What do you want to do? Quote. Others are also at a loss. Raikage fights with Konoha Shinobi, what do Mist Shinobi do? Terumi face was particularly gloomy. She looked at Rayya who had also stopped, gritted her teeth and uttered 2 words. Revenge. Revenge. Everyone looked at each other, and they couldn't help but become more and more doubtful. Dangtang Mizukage, and Konoha's little girl, can there be any hatred? But looking at the appearance of Terumi, it is more than just hatred, it is simply deep hatred, no sharing of heaven. Immediately afterwards, everyone looked at the guards of Tsunade and Mist Shinobi. Mist Shinobi's Ao and Chojuro were also at a loss. As for Tsunade, she spread her hands directly, indicating that she didn't know anything. What did this kid do? In fact, Tsunade was wondering what exactly Rayya did to Mizukage that made her irritated to such an extent. Of course Tsunade knew that it was impossible for the little Sakura to do this, and he didn't have the ability. At the same time, he smiled at the corner of his mouth and said that it is no wonder Rayya uses transformation technique. It's over. At this time, looking at Terumi's appearance, Rayuya's heart was ashamed for an instant. Obviously, his identity has been seen through. Is it right, Konoha's sealed ninja, stand in Rayya? At this time, Terumi looked at Rayya and said again. Sure enough, she had already seen Rayuya's identity. Stand by Rayya. Hearing this, everyone was surprised and suspicious again, and then they looked at Rayya one after another. Okay. Since it has been exposed, there is no need to hide it. Pong. With a muffled noise, Rayya lifted transformation technique and changed back to the original appearance. This is. Seeing Rayya who had changed back, everyone was shocked again. Really Takagi Rayya? No wonder. When I saw Rayya, everyone looked like this. Although Rayya is only 16 years old, his successive big moves have made the name, Stand by Rayya, Sealing Ninja, already resounding throughout the ninja world. As an imaginary enemy, the information about Rayya, from his abilities, ninjutsu, tactical habits, to his childhood to big experience, hobbies, each village has detailed records, analysis, enough to fill half of the house. Even, some villages set up a Takagi Rayya research group to conduct analysis and research on him. Since it is Takagi Rayya, it's no wonder that he can be inextricably beaten with Raikage. It really is a weird kid. Looking at Rayya, Tsuchikage couldn't help but ponder. According to the information, Rayya often has abilities beyond common sense. Today, I have seen it with my own eyes. In addition to a large-scale body replacement technique, which is used to draw swords and slash, another transformation technique appears today. In the state of transformation, it does not delay the use of ninjutsu at all. There are many people who have the same idea as Tsuchikage. Even already some people are thinking about how to prevent Rayya from sneaking into their village in the face of this transformation technique. Sure enough, it's you. Compared to other people, Terumi-Mei, who looked at Rayya with fire-breathing eyes, didn't think so much at all. She has only one idea right now: teach this little devil a good lesson, take revenge for the chrysanthemum. As I said before, all countries and villages have Rayya information, naturally including Mist Shinobi. In the woods before, after Terumi-Mei was exploded, she calmly analyzed. Although Rayya did not wear a forehead protector, and only performed body replacement technique in Thousand Years of Death once, Terumi-Mei quickly thought of him. After all, these two ninjutsu are too special. And based on the route at the time, it is very likely that you will encounter Konoha's team going to the convention, and Konoha's team is likely to have Takagi Rayya. But without seeing Rayya, the portrait in the original document just glanced at it, all this is just speculation. When it arrived at the venue, Terumi-Mei paid special attention to Konoha's team and found that it was 3 women with 3, so he didn't think much about it. Until Rayya battled Raikage, she had to use body replacement technique frequently. Terumi-Mei discovered that this cute Sakura sauce was a disguise of Rayya. That's why he attacked. At this time, Rayya showed her body, which also proved that she was right. When I saw Rayya again, even though it was a few days later, there seemed to be a faint pain there. Terumi-Mei has never suffered such a humiliation, full of resentment, and is about to rush to Rayya. The old man is still here. Boom. And just at this moment, Raikage suddenly roared, and then slammed his fists to the ground, followed by a loud noise, and a powerful air current surged around. Mizukage. Raikage glared at Terumi-Mei, and said in a deep voice. You are not allowed to intervene in my battle. The ghost wants to intervene in your battle. When it comes to Rayya, Terumi-Mei will not give in. He's mine. Nonsense. You're just talking nonsense. Mizukage. Raikage. Want to fight? Come on. Who is afraid of who? I will pack you two together. The next moment, Raikage and Mizukage quarrel first. Quote. Seeing this scene, everyone's mouth twitched, all with embarrassment. What kind of ghost plot development is this? I can't understand it at all. Hehe, it seems that 2 people are vying for the wind and being jealous. At this time, I have been watching the Rock Shinobi Black Soil, which is not too busy, and said with a smile. As the object of contention, Rayya was originally embarrassing enough. When Heitu said this, it instantly made him completely mad and roared in anger. Enough of you two. Okay. Startled by Ryuya's voice, Raikage and Mizukage couldn't help stopping, turning their heads to look at Rayya. Humph. Boy, don't be too arrogant. The two hummed softly, followed by a sneer, as if they were sure of Rayya. The kingdom of the heavens. The great Tengu god is here. Immediately afterwards, Rayya quickly made a few seals, followed by a violent drink. Boom. In the midst of a loud noise, Rayya instantly became a monster with a huge height, wings on his back, a hideous face, a mouth full of fangs, and a long nose. It is the extremely terrifying monster Tengu in the legend. U2. Due to his huge size, his body has already passed through the roof of the conference room and plunged into the sky. Rayya lowered his head slightly at this time, looking at Raikage and Terumi-Mei, who are not as high as his feet, and questioned like a thunderous voice. Have you had enough? Raikage, who was fierce just now, and Mizukage, who was angry, was stunned when he saw Rayya, who was transformed into a god. This. At this time, everyone else present, including Tsunade, who knows Rayya best, all changed their expressions and their faces were full of horror. Such a huge size even far exceeds the tail beast. No matter how strong their ninjutsu is, they can't hurt their toes. And as long as he raises his foot, the mountain and the ground are cracked, it is enough to destroy them all. The incarnation is such a terrifying existence. Is it also ninjutsu? Is it really ninjutsu? Just now, I clearly saw Rayya Yuyin, but shouted, the great Tengu god is coming. The ninjutsu that can be transformed into a big Tengu is shocking and terrifying. With such a strength, one person can destroy the country, and who dares to compete with it? What about a bigger body? My anger will not disappear because of fear. At this moment, Raikage and Terumi-Mei spoke one after another. Then they looked at Rayya together and shouted in unison. Bring it on. Ah! Rayya, who had just finished her feat, almost staggered down when she heard this. What kind of magical technique is he, or transformation technique? Just now a series of Jia Yin concealed the seal of transformation technique in it. As for the Big Tengu divine prosperity, he also screamed the Mendrin indiscriminately. It's just the ability of the size of the wish, deliberately becoming such a horrible body, wanting to scare the frightening Tu Ying. But I didn't expect that these are two Tai Han, this is not afraid. Ryuya's transformation technique is a paper tiger, if you really do it, it will show up in an instant. It's over. Rayya was secretly anxious, and originally wanted to calm the scene, but now it will be more difficult to end. What an amazing body shape. At this moment, a voice suddenly sounded. However, it should be just a bluffing transformation technique. Okay. Hearing this, everyone couldn't help being stunned, and then subconsciously followed the prestige. From this look, everyone frowned. The red cloud robe that is already familiar to all villages, Xiao organization. Where is the ratio? Raikage let out an angry roar, then rushed up. But he punched directly through the opponent's body without causing any harm. Your technique is useless to me. The other party's indifferent voice sounded, and at the same time, in the wood grain one-eye mask, a bright red eye with a guyu was exposed, it is Sharingan. Seeing this eye, everyone's face changed, Uchiha. And, from just now judging from the situation Raikage passed through, the other party may have the most difficult space ninjutsu. For a while, everyone dare not act rashly, even if it exposes the fiery temper Raikage. Obito. Compared to other people, Rayuya, who is a traverser, knows more about people coming. Then lifted, transformation technique, returned to Tsunade, and together with everyone, annotated Obito vigilantly. It really is a transformation technique. Obito glanced at Rayuya, then turned to the crowd. Introduce myself, I am Uchiha Madara. Uchiha Madara. Hearing this, everyone's face changed greatly again, as if they were facing an enemy. Those present are all high-level villagers, even some young people have at least heard of the name Uchiha Madara. If this person is really Uchiha Madara, it is definitely a terrifying existence. At the same time, everyone can't help but wonder, if Madara lives to the present, how old is it really an immortal monster? You don't have to worry about it. In response to everyone's reaction, Obito still had a steady voice. After years of erosion, I have only an empty shell left, and I have already lost my original strength. There is only one empty shell. Hearing this, everyone frowned again, and their hearts became more suspicious. If the other party is not Madara and just wants to use Madara's reputation, then why do you want to tell everyone that he has lost his power? Could it be that this person is really Uchiha Madara? But if it is, what is his purpose? At this time, like everyone else, even Rayuya, the traverser, was a little confused. In the original book, Sasuke attacked the venue and was seriously injured by Raikage, and Obito appeared to rescue him. Then, he told Gokage about his Project Tasuki no Mi. After the request for the tail beast was rejected, Obito declared war on the world. But now, the actual situation is different. In the original book, Obito has caught 7 tails, and only 8 tails and 9 tails are left. It is with the power of these 7 tails that he has such confidence. In this world, because of the existence of Rayuya, Obito controls at most 1 tail, 4 tails, 5 tails, 6 tails at this time, a total of 4 tail beasts. 4 to 5, where is the courage of Obito? I'm here to discuss one thing with you. What's the matter? World peace. At this time, Obito spoke again, and what he said was almost the same as in the original book. From the origin of the tail beast to the moon strokes, I told one side in detail. As the 5 shadows, it was originally your responsibility to maintain the peace of the world. After speaking, Obito looked at everyone and said seriously. So, hand over the remaining 5-tailed beasts. Let me become 10 tails Jinchuriki, turn on infinite Tsukuyomi, and bring the world to eternal peace. Don't think about it. I won't hand over the world to someone like you. Everyone was angry, and it was naturally impossible to agree. After all, it was a tail beast, how could it be possible to give him just a few words from Obito? Moreover, they are 5 shadows, and they are not children, so they are so deceiving. Okay. The reaction of everyone was originally expected by Obito, and then stood up and said solemnly. Then I solemnly declare, the 4th Ninja World War, begin. What? The fourth time. Ninja World War. Hearing this, everyone, whether it is the guard or the five shadows, their expressions changed drastically. Omen in the horror of everyone, Obito activated the ability to teleport and disappear directly from the spot. Quote. Looking at Obito who left, even Rayya, the Traverser, was dumbfounded again. Obito Barabara said a lot, he really came to declare war. But according to Ryuya's analysis, only the four-tailed Obito has no capital to declare war. The dog jumped the wall in a hurry. Rayuya was startled and couldn't help thinking. In fact, even in the original work, Rational Analysis, Obito, who has only 7 tailed beasts and an army of 100,000 white Zetsu, is not enough to contend the entire ninja world. Later, he made a mistake, cooperated with Do, and got a powerful Impure World Reincarnation army. At that time, Obito announced the launch of war, also because the plan was disrupted one after another, and there was no way to do it. Is it the same at this time, but it is too reluctant? Orochimaru. There has been no news about Orochimaru since the destruction of Otonin village. Ryuya can't help but wonder if it's Orochimaru, who made an Impure World Reincarnation army and cooperated with Obito. However, this conjecture has no basis and is unreliable. Strange. In short, Obito's behavior this time is really difficult to explain. Ryuya vaguely felt that it was not so simple. At this time, Wying had already sat together again. Prior to this, the Five Shadows Conference was actually Raikage's condemnation of other hidden villages. But at this time, Obito suddenly appeared, giving everyone a common enemy. Everyone unanimously decided to form a coalition force to deal with Shao. It seems that Bai did not fall into their hands. Bai, where did he go? According to Obito, it was determined that Eight Tails had escaped. Raikage breathed a sigh of relief, but was also annoyed. At the same time, the focus of everyone's discussion is also around the Tail Beast. After all, this war is the fight for the Tail Beasts. Once the Tail Beasts are taken away by Akatsuki, and Infinite Tsukuyomi is really turned on, the whole world is over. It must be found immediately. There is also the unaccounted two tails of Jinchuriki by Wooden Golem. Since the previous generation of Jinchuriki passed away, Kurigakure has lost 3 tails. It should be in the wild now, and Miss Shinobi will do our best to look for it. 9 tails is still there. Konoha absolutely won't let Akatsuki capture him. Rock Shinobi has lost all the tail beasts, but we can help Takanin village and protect 7 tails. Analyze the tail beasts that are not in Akatsuki's hands at this time, but how do they know that the second 2 tails, 3 tails, 7 tails, are already in Ryuya's hands? Now that the fight for the tail beast has begun, Rayuya can't help but think about it, and when the Five Shadows Conference is over, he immediately goes to Shongrong and the others. I have a suggestion. At this moment, Funyangara, who had been silent, spoke. Leaving the tail beast in each village is undoubtedly placed in front of Akatsuki. Moreover, it is scattered everywhere, and it is not convenient to protect. What do you mean? Find a hidden place, gather all the tail beasts, and protect them together. Everyone looked serious and couldn't help but ponder. After a day of discussion, the Five Shadows Conference ended. This time, initiated by Raikage, it was originally a meeting to question the other 4 villages. Because of Obito's sudden declaration of war, it eventually became an opportunity to form a ninja coalition. The General Assembly decided that the head of the coalition forces was the then Five Shadows. The Supreme Commander, 4th Raikage I. General Staff, 5th Hokage Tsunade. Allied Captain, 5th Kage Gaara. And the focus of the meeting, the Tail Beast, made the final decision after a debate. Leian Village chooses the location and protects it centrally, and will not participate in the war for the time being. The enemy has declared war. We can't procrastinate anymore. After the meeting, Wying and his guards immediately returned to the villages to make deployment arrangements. Tweet. 2 hours after the departure, Ryuya and the others on the way received a message from the ninja in Konoha village. Quote. After reading the information, Tsunade's face changed suddenly, and he stood on the spot in a daze. What happened? Ryuya frowned and asked. Tsunade did not speak, and passed the information directly to Ryuya. What? Seeing the above content, Ryuya's face also changed drastically in an instant. Yesterday, Uchiha Sasuke invaded Konoha and killed 3rd Hokage Sarutobi Hiruzen, and Bushimura Danzo, Consultant Mitokado Homura, and Consultant Utatane Kaharu 4 Senior Konoha. Quote. The news was so shocking that the senior Konoha generation was unexpectedly slaughtered by Sasuke overnight. It wasn't until a long while later that Rayya recovered his senses, and his face was particularly solemn. Sasuke's move was obviously for revenge. As previously guessed, Obito has already told Sasuke the truth about Itachi and Uchiha's extermination. In fact, it was precisely because of fear of Sasuke's revenge that Rayya accompanied Tsunade to the Five Shadows conference. But from the beginning to the end of the meeting, Sasuke did not appear. Before, Rayya was still wondering why the plot changed. It wasn't until this time that he saw this piece of information that he suddenly remembered that, in fact, the plot has not changed at all, it was his negligence. In fact, in the original work, after Sasuke learned the truth, he immediately went to Konoha to take revenge. But he was stopped by Obito and taken to the Five Shadows venue. Because Konoha at that time had been destroyed by Pen, and the high level who gave Itachi the order to destroy the tribe, 3rd Hokage had already been killed by Orochimaru, and Danzo was in the Five Shadows conference. But in this world, because of the existence of Rayya, 3rd Hokage is not dead, Konoha is not destroyed, and Danzo is not a Hokage. Therefore, Sasuke, who wants revenge, will naturally not change his plan, but will go to Konoha. It's my fault. Thinking of this, Rayya couldn't help but blamed himself for a while, and thought that he would be guarded. In the Uchiha destruction incident, Rayya, as a bystander, believes that there is no right or wrong but a different position. But he traveled to this world and got along with the people here. 3rd Hokage accepted him as a disciple, helped him repair his meridians and instructed ninjutsu. How could he have no feelings? At this time, 3rd Hokage was killed, and there was a sorrow in my heart. Most importantly, he could have avoided all this, but he was negligent. Trouble. In addition to sadness and self-blame, this incident was accompanied by a huge hidden danger. To kill the 4 high-level Konoha, Sasuke must be intolerable by the country of fire and other countries. In this way, Sasuke, who can only walk to the black one by one, must be completely blackened. You know, Sasuke is the reincarnation of Indra Chakra, and he who is completely blackened can no longer stand on the side of the coalition like the original. In case Otsutsuki Kagaya is really resurrected, only the reincarnated Naruto of Ashura Chakra cannot seal it. At that time, the whole world will really be over. As for Rayya, even if it is a traverser, even if it has an enhanced version of the 4-elephant seal that seals everything, but facing the creator of this world, Otsutsuki Kagaya, there is not much chance of winning. Boost. Just as Rayya frowned, Tsunade regained his senses, drank it gently, and hurried back to Konoha as quickly as possible. She is also a disciple of 3rd Hokage, but her relationship with 3rd generation is far from comparable to Rayya. But at this time Tsunade did not have the slightest sadness on his face, only firmness. As Hokage, she knows her responsibilities well, the more at this time, the less she can be affected by feelings. After returning to the village, immediately control the vortex Naruto. While speeding up, Tsunade said something. Rayya nodded secretly, admiring Tsunade's calmness. With the fetters between Naruto and Sasuke, and his impulsive character, knowing that Sasuke committed such a heinous crime, he will inevitably lose control. It is possible to leave Konoha directly and go after Sasuke. In this way, I am afraid that I will fall into the Obito trap. Once Naruto is caught, Nine Tails is taken away, and Ashura Chakra is reincarnated and died, then I am afraid that there is no way to play. After controlling, immediately take it to Cloud Shinobi and let Raikage hide him. Tsunade's face was gloomy, and he said another sentence. Hide it. Rayya was startled slightly, and suddenly remembered the plot of the original. His face changed instantly. After thinking a little bit, he quickly said to Tsunade. This time Uchiha Madara declares war. There are many unreasonable points. Is this a conspiracy? Conspiracy. Yes, conspiracy. Rayya looked serious and continued. At this time Madara, what I want most is the tail beast. The reason why he declared war is probably because we want us to help him find the tail beast. Tsunade frowned, thinking for a while. There is indeed such a possibility. I will notify the other films to pay attention. But even so, Jinchuriki still has to protect it. It can only strengthen confidentiality work and guard forces. In this case, I recommend Mr. Guy as one of the guards. Well, Guy is really reliable. Tsunade nodded, and said nothing. Seeing Tsunade's promise, Rayya was slightly relieved. If it was the same as the original, Obito played a dark hand in Shinkang, let Hoshigaki Kisame sneak in and explore where Jinchuriki was. And Guy, who has 8 inner gates and is good at physical skills, just restrained Kisame. Even if it is not Kisame, it is someone else. With the strength of Guy, it should be enough to deal with it. Master Tsunade, I want to ask you a leave. After pondering for a moment, Rayya suddenly said. The key to this battle is, tailed beasts. While protecting 8 tails and 9 tails in the 5 major villages, Rayya must also firmly control the 2 tails, 3 tails, and 7 tails in his hands. Therefore, the top priority is that he must meet Shangshun and the others. What did you say? At this critical moment, as Konoha's top combat power, Rayya actually wants to ask for leave, but he can't look at Rayya again. His expression is extremely determined. Tsunade frowned, and finally nodded. In case of emergency, please contact via Katsuyu. It is good. Rayya didn't say much, but switched directions and went straight to Tangren village where Shongrin and the others were. In a hurry, Rayya kept using body replacement technique. So before it gets dark, I finally arrived. Over there. Tangren village is not big. After arriving, Rayya directly covered it with radar ears and quickly found the location of Shongrong and the others. It sounded that the 3 of 3 were quite happy, and Rayya couldn't help but breathe a sigh of relief, which meant that there was no situation for the time being, and then searched for the past. A small courtyard, the courtyard door is closed, 3 people 3 are inside. Rayya pushed, but the door didn't open. It should be locked from the inside. I was too lazy to call the door and jumped in directly over the wall. What? Who? Go to hell. This has just landed, and who knows is, a scream. Immediately afterwards, a huge tail was swept over with a stiff thorn. Boom. In the next moment, as the tail swept across, amid a loud noise, half of the courtyard wall of the small courtyard was directly smashed. It seems that you are cultivating. In the dust, Rayya walked out and said with a smile. That was the tail of 3 tails just now, indicating that Shongrin has mastered the borrowed tail beast chakra. Quote. Not bad. But then, when he saw the scene in front of him clearly, Rayya was stunned for an instant, and then the old face blushed. I saw a small hot spring in the middle of the yard. The 3 girls are indeed there, but they are soaking in the hot spring. Rayya knows that Unokuni is famous for hot springs, but he doesn't know that there are hot springs even in the courtyard where he lives. Rayya. At this time, after seeing that it was Rayya, the excited Shongrong cheered, jumped out of the hot spring, and rushed up. Ah, Rayya was dumbfounded for an instant, with a heartbeat exceeding 800 beats per minute. I want to hug too. Immediately afterwards, Fu, who was too hardy, also jumped out of the hot spring and rushed up. Quote. I don't know if it's been a long time in the hot spring or the picture is too exciting. Ujiha fans wooden golem can't help but flushed and sank directly to the bottom of the hot spring. But she seemed to forget that the hot spring water was crystal clear. Early the next morning, after one night's rest, Rayya and the group of 4 left Tangnan village. And after this night, the relationship of the 4 people 4 became intimate. Rayya, where are we going? Go to see. Although Tangren village is secretive, the stay is a bit too long, so you have to change the place. After thinking about it, Rayya chose a small island on the sea. Overseas islands, even Akatsuki, in the case of wireless cable, it is difficult. And, if nothing else, the place where Naruto and Killer Bee hide is also on the sea, an island, a huge turtle carrying them. In this way, if Naruto encounters an attack, Rayya can also rush to increase staff in time. Tangren village happened to be facing the sea, and the 4 of them changed their faces and arrived at the port. The road was calm, and after a few days, I successfully reached the isolated island selected by Rayya. This is really a good place. The blue waters and delicate beaches made the 3 women excited. It would be better if there weren't those 2 women. But looking at Fu Yu wooden golem again, Shongrin was unhappy again. I was even a little crazy thinking about it. in this environment, it would be great if she and Rayya were alone. Rayya, let's play. At this time, Fula was holding Rayya, his face full of excitement. Pile sand, swim, or play ball. Upon seeing this, Xianglin became more annoyed, and three tails appeared behind him. The sun is really comfortable. By wooden golem, I didn't know where to find a recliner, and I didn't know when I changed my swimsuit and started enjoying the sun. Quote. Seeing the appearance of the three women, Rayya was speechless for a while, then looked serious and said to the three women. We're not here to play. Okay, Uchiha Madara has declared war on the world. Immediately afterwards, Rayya told the three women all of what happened at the Five Shadows conference. After listening, the three women looked serious. After all, the key to this war is the tail beast in their bodies. And the enemy they have to face is the legendary Uchiha Madara. By wooden golem, I'm sorry, I will tell you this news after going to the island. Rayya looked at you wooden golem and said sincerely. If you want to return to Cloud Shinobi now, I won't stop it. Is that so? Why don't you tell me the truth before going to sea? Wooden golem smiled and directly dismantled Rayya. You didn't want me to leave from the beginning, right, Sly? Bad guy. Oh, it's Cloud Shinobi's wooden golem, I can't hide it from you. Rayya deliberately pretended to be helpless, then smiled and looked at you wooden golem. Then can't you leave me on Earth? If you don't want me to leave. You wooden golem paused, and suddenly pointed at Shangrong and Fu. It's going to be better to me than to both of them. You woman, by wooden golem is too cunning. Hearing this, Xianglin and Fu stopped doing it, and one was full of anger and the other yelled. It is good. Rayya didn't hesitate, and nodded directly. This. Rayya actually agreed. Xianglin instantly slumped directly on the beach dumbfounded, and Fu was aggrieved with his mouth full of grievances. By wooden golem smiled and didn't speak any more. What I said just now was actually just a joke. The reason she didn't leave was because she felt that it was safer to stay with Rayya than at Cloud Shinobi. Although she didn't know why she felt that way, she believed in her instincts as a woman. In addition, there is another reason: eggs cannot be placed in a basket. Since 8 tails and 9 tails are under the protection of the 5 great nations at the same time. Then there is no need to go again. In this case, let's start practicing. After the negotiation, Rayya looked at the 3 girls with a serious expression. After all, the war has already begun. In this case, the 3 girls looked at Rayya with the same serious expression, then suddenly cheered, and rushed directly. Then start playing. After all, it's already on the beach. Rayya, who was thrown down by the 3 women in an instant, couldn't help turning over by a Kugan, and shook his head with a bitter smile helplessly. No way, let's indulge for a day. After all, the war has already begun, and no one can guarantee that there will be such a happy life in the future. 4. Jinchuriki, using the power of the tail beast, is roughly divided into 3 forms. The first form, borrowed from chakra. Remain in human form, but the tail of a beast will appear behind you. The second form, half-tailed animalization. It still maintains a human form, but is surrounded by the dark red-tailed beast chakra, the tailed beast coat, which has the ability to launch a small tailed beast bomb. The third form is completely beastly tailed. That is to say, it is completely transformed into a tailed beast, and its powerful physique is combined with the huge chakra, and it is often. Before following Rayya, wooden golem had already practiced to the third form. Now continue to work hard, and strive to achieve perfect control of the tail beast. Fu was originally in the first form, and later guided by wooden golem, he has entered the second form and is working towards the third form. It is worth mentioning that the Shangrong, who has just become Jinchuriki, with her vortex bloodline, has made great strides, has caught up with Fu, entered the second form, and began to charge towards the third form. Sitting on a tall rock, Rayya couldn't help but wonder at the 3 women who practiced tail beasts on the beach in the distance. Judging from the current situation, once the ninja war really begins, it is likely to be a battlefield where tail beasts rages. After all, Obito's support right now is only the 4-tailed beasts. In this way, how can Rayya, who is not Jinchuriki, contend with it? Even if he has the system, the 84 enhanced skills cannot help but look a little weak under the power of the tail beast to destroy the world. Shanshu. In fact, Rayya has been thinking about this issue for a long time, and after thinking about it, all he can rely on and should continue to develop is scenery. After all, in the middle and late stages of the original work, there are only immortals that can hurt 10 tails Obito, 6 Madaras. Surgery and physical exercises. This shows that Shanshu is special and powerful. Shanshu is a kind of power generated after absorbing natural energy and fusing with chakra in the body. But because of the 1 limit, the amount of natural energy that can be absorbed depends entirely on the amount of chakra. Even Rayya, who has a huge number of chakras, can't be compared with the tail beast. In this way, the immortal chakra that can condense is extremely limited. The lack of quantity ultimately limits the power. Natural energy. If you want to compete with the tail beast, you must break the entire limitation and absorb more natural energy. After all, there are more chakras in the tail beast, it can't be compared with the world. Absorbing natural energy, and practicing chakra by yourself, this gap is just like a cultivator, a martial arts, not a dimension at all. Thinking of this, Rayya couldn't help but feel excited, but then, frowned again. It's easy to say, but too difficult to do. From the Sengoku period to the present, there is no shortage of learning sage mode from the 3 holy places, but no one has ever broken through 1 this limit, including the first generation player Hashirama, known as the god of ninja. Alas. After frowning for a while, Rayya couldn't help sighing. Actually, from a long time ago, there is this idea. However, how to practice cultivation has always been unpredictable. If he exhausts his whole life, or gives him 10 or 20 years, he may be able to study it with his powerful, super brawn. But now, the war is imminent, and he has no time at all. Speaking of it, since coming to this world, Rayya has always lacked time most. There is no way, but I have to temporarily abandon this exciting idea and look for other ways to gain strength. Tailed beast. Immediately afterwards, Rayya looked at the 3 women on the beach again. In this world, the power of the tail beast can be countered. The answer is actually very simple, that is, the tail beast itself. Obito has 4 tail beasts, and Rayya also has 3. Then the next question is, how can he who is not Jinchuriki use the power of the tail beast in the same way? Rayya remembers that in the original book, Naruto. Then, can Rayya let the 3 girls give him their tail beast chakra? They should be willing. Speaking of, since coming to this world, Rayya has always thought about how to become stronger. In order to become stronger, he can often keep lowering the lower limit. For example, deliberately handing in Naruto, from the Book of the Seal to Jiraiya, hitting his ride one after another. For example, save it, please 3rd Hokage, and hold this thigh firmly. Another example is the 3 women. When Chunin took an exam and rushed to save Shang-Rin in front of Sasuke, Rayya would beat her up again. In Tangren village a few days ago, he got close to the 3 daughters in order to make their relationship closer, so he willingly loaned him the tail beast chakra. At this point, Rayya himself admits that he is a scumbag. However, in order to become stronger, he doesn't care. Yin and Yang escape. After thinking for a moment, Rayya took out an object from his pocket, which was the black stick that he had pulled out of those corpse puppets after defeating Pain. As far as Rayya knows, these black rods are actually made with Rinnegan's ability through Yin and Yang, and have the function of transmitting chakra. Nagato uses this black stick to remotely control Pen's 6 paths. Rayya couldn't help thinking, if he and the 3 girls would insert this kind of black stick. Can the tail beast chakra in the body of the 3 women be transferred to his body? It is necessary to know that this kind of black rod hosts the power of the outside world and can also suppress the tail beast will. Sage mode. Thinking of this, Rayya gave a soft drink and went directly to sage mode. Even if both sides insert the black rod, it is only to enhance the induction. There are still many problems in how to transmit the tail beast chakra specifically through the air. And sage mode is the way to solve these problems. After all, sage mode is a way to draw power from the outside world. Chi and blood flow. Sage mode. After trying it a bit, Ryuya's face sank and entered the next state. Coupled with the flow of chi and blood he created, he can completely control the chi of the whole body. It should be possible. In this mode, with the control of chi, which is energy, coupled with the perception of the black stick, Rayya has the confidence to move the three-girl-tailed beast chakra. Of course, how to operate it needs to be studied and tested. Just when Rayya started researching and developing new techniques, the 5 major countries had already started operations. The first is the deployment of various forces, the deployment of resources, and active preparations for war. At the same time, Konoha will calm down Naruto, accompanied by Guy, Yamato and others, and secretly send it to Cloud Shinobi. Then, along with the killer bee that we just found, will be sent to the hiding place Turtle Island. In order to prevent Obito's attack, in addition to the elite ninjas on the island, Tsuchikage Onogi is also secretly protected. Time is fast, and in a blink of an eye, it takes more than a month. Buzzing on the seaside reef, Rayya, who turned on Theosage mode of chi and blood flow, the colorless and transparent airflow that originally wrapped around her body has turned into an uncomfortable dark red, and it flickers violently, shaped like a blooming spike. At the same time, on the other side of the island, Three Tails chakra was continuously spilling out of Shang Rin's body. Success. Feeling the constant flow of huge chakra, Rayya was excited, and after more than a month of hard work, he finally succeeded. Through the black sticks inserted into him and Jinchuriki respectively, within 10 kilometers, as long as Jinchuriki wishes, he can borrow chakra at will. In other words, Rayya, who is not Jinchuriki, can also use the power of the tail beast. Of course, compared with the real Jinchuriki, there are still differences. Just borrowing chakra, Rayya cannot be transformed into a tailed beast, nor can it release a tailed beast bomb. Call. After the test was successful, Rayya exhaled and returned to his normal state. Although it has been successful so far, it is only the first step. How to increase the transmission distance of the tailed beast chakra, and borrow 2 or even more tailed beasts at the same time, are the directions to be studied next. Okay. Just as Rayya was thinking, he suddenly sensed that Katsuyu was calling him. Could something happen? Summoning technique. Rayya frowned and directly summoned a slap-sized Katsuyu clone. Master Rayya. After seeing Rayya, little Katsuyu looked anxious. Oh no, what's going on? Akatsuki took 8 tails and 9 tails. Ryuya's face changed in an instant. How could this happen? According to the original work, Akatsuki might have hidden Chenkang and found Jinchuriki's hiding place. But Rayya had already reminded Tsunade that Gokage was also prepared. How could this happen again? Master Rayya, your support is urgently needed now. Let's go while walking. It is good. Rayya nodded, put little Katsuyu on the neckline, and then left the island. As for the 3 of Shangrong 3, the situation is unknown now, and Rayya will not let them show up easily. After all, if 8 tails and 9 tails have been captured, they are the only hope. It's missed Shinobi's betrayal Hoshigaki Kisame. While Rayya hurried, little Katsuyu explained the situation. Similar to the original book, Kisame succumbed to death and hid in Samahata. Killer Bee took Samahata as a trophy and took it to Turtle Island where they were hiding. Naruto learned to use 9 Tails chakra, perceived maliciousness, and found Kisame hiding and sneaking in. Kisame is good at strength, but after all, he is not the opponent of King Guy. In the end, he was killed. It should have been a surprise, but Obito didn't know what to use, located Kisame, and found Turtle Island. Even if Obito finds it, it doesn't matter. After all, Turtle Island has a very strong guard. However, beyond everyone's expectations, in addition to Obito, there are several powerful enemies. They are Rock Shinobi Rebel Deidara, Konoha Rebel Orochimaru and his men, and Konoha Rebel Uchiha Sasuke and his men. Orochimaru. Hearing this news, Rayuya frowned again. Since the destruction of Odonin village, Orochimaru and 2 have disappeared. Unexpectedly, it suddenly appeared at this time, which was the situation that Rayuya didn't want to see. Orochimaru itself is nothing. What Rayuya cares about is the impure world reincarnation army in Orochimaru's hands. Orochimaru and Obito teamed up, just like the 4th Ninja War in the original book. It has a prototype. Deidara, Orochimaru, Sasuke. Orochimaru Isshin wants to take Sasuke's body, Deidara Isshin wants to kill Orochimaru. And Sasuke, after killing Konoha's older generation, Akatsuki has no use value for him. These extreme, weird, and complicated relationships, Obito can bring them together. Rayya can't help but feel that he is indeed behind the scenes. There are really some tricks. East. It is good. At this time, under the leadership of Katsuyu, Rayya rushed to the road with all his strength. Akatsuki's lineup is strong, but the coalition is not weak at all. In addition to Agai, Yamato, Black Earth, Akato, these elite Jonin, there are two shadows, Onogi and Terumi Mei. Besides, 8 Tails Killer Bee and 9 Tails Naruto, the two of them were originally powerful. Although Killer Bee and Naruto were captured under Akatsuki's raid, Akatsuki's members were also injured, and the coalition forces were chasing them to retake Killer Bee and Naruto. Just now you said that Uchiha Madara is also in this raid. Yes, Lord Rayya. Quote. With a positive answer, Rayya can't help but frown again. Even if injured, Obito can still launch Kamui, bring everyone into the Kamui space, and then move the space. But now, a group of them are carrying Killer Bee, and Naruto is running around. No way. Rayya has a solemn expression. There must be some conspiracy, or even a trap in it. In fact, Tsuchikage and the others also know that this is probably a trap. But 8 Tails and 9 Tails are important. They have no choice but to jump in even if it is a trap. Just ahead. When Rayya was thinking about it, he was about to catch up with all the coalition forces. Everyone chased them all the way until they reached a deserted island. Akatsuki and others, who had fled with all their strength, suddenly dispersed. Killer Bee and Naruto are in whose hands, it is difficult to distinguish for a while. Scatter. Must not let 8 Tails and 9 Tails fall into Akatsuki's hands, and the coalition forces immediately dispersed and chased after each other. The next moment, at the southern end of the island, Guy, another Konoha shinobi, caught up with Sasuke. To the north, Mizukage and his subordinates blocked Orochimaru. In addition, in the center of the island, Onoki and Deidara confronted each other. Deidara, you fool. As the disciple he once loved the most, he betrayed the village and acted evil with Akatsuki, and Onoki was full of anger. Today I will kill you myself. Really, Master Tsuchikage. Deidara looked at Tsuchikage with a sneer at the corner of her mouth. Okay. Onoki couldn't help but startled. Deidara usually calls him an old man, how can he suddenly use honorifics today? That is. The next moment, Onoki suddenly saw that Deidara's eyes turned out to be red Sharingan. At this time, he was clearly controlled by Sharingan. Hoop. Deidara's clothes were torn off, a mouth was exposed on his chest, and he had swallowed a large amount of detonating clay. Quote. Yemu's eyes widened in an instant. This is Deidara's strongest move. It explodes. A huge explosion, covering a radius of 10 kilometers, will turn everything into ashes. If there is no space ninjutsu, it will definitely die. Ha ha ha. At this time, in Deidara's crazy laughter, ninjutsu had already been activated. Art is explosion. As expected, this is a trap. The purpose is to severely damage the coalition forces before the war officially begins. So after capturing 8 Tails and 9 Tails, Obito did not immediately teleport away, but led Tsuchikage and Mizukage to this island. With the Xiang Zhuan technique, 2 counterfeit goods were used to attract the attention of the coalition forces. The real Sasuke, Orochimaru and others have been transferred to Kamui space by Obito. After the coalition forces are dispersed, Obito uses Sharingan to control Deidara and release Zero Self-Detonation. As Deidara's strongest ninjutsu, known as the ultimate art, the entire island will disappear in an instant. If there is no space ninjutsu, no one can escape. Besides, the allied forces scattered everywhere. Who can predict this sudden situation? Obito's trap is actually very simple, one for Mor, one for Deidara, for Tsuchikage, Mizukage, and a number of elite Jonin in the coalition army. But having said that, with Orochimaru's impure world reincarnation technique, Deidara can be summoned even if he is dead, and Obito hasn't lost even one combat power. Drink. With a violent drink, Deidara launched ninjutsu. His body quickly turned black and disappeared, and in a blink of an eye there was only a small black ball with a human face. And then, the small black ball burst and instantly turned into a dazzling white light. It's over. As Deidara's teacher, Onogi knew the power of Zero. When he saw that this ninjutsu had been activated, he closed his eyes and felt ashamed. At the same time, it is self-blame that he has caught the enemy's trap. Their deaths didn't matter, but before the war began, Wang sacrificed 2 of them. In addition to the loss of combat power, the blow to morale may be even more deadly. Once the morale is gone, he loses half first. But there is no way, no one can dodge this technique. Earth Style, Earth Flow Wall. Just as Onogi had given up hope, when the other coalition ninjas saw Bai Guang's face blank, a violent shout suddenly sounded. Boom! In the next moment, with a loud noise, Zero was completely released, and the huge white light instantly swallowed everything around. After a long while, Oyemu couldn't help being stunned. He, who should have been dead, felt like his body was still there. Could it be his own obsession with Yangshi, the illusion that Onoki tried to move his finger, but it seemed to be moving? How come back? Onoki was surprised, and quickly opened his eyes. This is. And when he saw the scene in front of him, Oyemu's face changed suddenly, and the whole person was shocked on the spot. In fact, it's not just Onoki, Mizukage photos, Konoha's guy, Yamato, all the coalition forces, looking at the scene in front of them, they are all dumbfounded. Just now, a cloud of white light spread from the center of the island, like a piece, instantly erasing all the colors of death. Just when all the coalition forces were about to go with the island, with a loud shout, an earth wall suddenly rose. The original whiteness was wiped out. It alone has no effect on this earth wall. This huge, solid earth wall completely separates them from the white light. Finally caught up. At this time, with his hands still on the ground, Rayya, who was still in a ninjutsu posture, couldn't help but breathe a long sigh of relief. Following the guidance of Katsuyu, he allied one step later, and then arrived at the island. And when it fell, Deidara just heard Deidara shouting, "Art is, explosion." Rayya instantly understood what was about to happen, almost subconsciously, and immediately activated the earth flow wall. Fortunately, although Deidara's self-detonation is powerful and wide, it takes a little longer to activate. Although Rayya started ninjutsu late, he finally caught up. After strengthening the earth flow wall, not only the range is greatly increased, but also the shape can be distorted according to Rayya's heart. The radar ear instantly determined the location of all the coalition forces. Rayya bent the earth flow wall into a curve, separating all the coalition forces from the east of the island, and the blue Deidara was separated from the west. When the huge Pi star rose, the western half of the island instantly turned into dust. On the east side separated by the earth flow wall, it was not affected in the slightest. Although Deidara's self-detonation is strong, it is still an explosive impact in the final analysis, unable to shake Rayuya's 864 strengthened earth flow wall. Who is it? After a long while, the white light dissipated, and the regained Onoki, Terumi-Mei and others looked at the indestructible earth wall in front of them with a blank expression. Rayuya. It's Rayuya. Compared to other villages, Konoha's ninja had already seen Rayuya's dirt wall once when Pen invaded. Although the shape is different this time, it is indeed an earth flow wall. And can launch such a large scale, such a solid earth flow wall, besides Rayuya, who else can there be? Takagi Rayuya. After a while, everyone gathered again. When they saw Rayuya and learned that it was his ninjutsu, Rock Shinobi and Mist Shinobi's ninjas were surprised again. Good job, young man. Onoki looked at Rayuya and admired him. This time, you not only saved our lives, but also saved the coalition forces and the world. You know, at this time, all the elites of the villages, Jonin, are of the top combat power, and they also include 2 shadows. If they all die here and the coalition forces are hit hard, then they are likely to lose the war and lose the world. So although Onogi's statement is a bit exaggerated, it is not without basis. Takagi Rayuya. Terumi-Mei also looked at Rayuya, her face uncertain. The hatred of the chrysanthemum is not shared, she will not forget it. If it weren't for the appearance of Uchiha Madara, everyone needs to unite and unite. She must have killed this kid. But today, Rayuya saved her and saved the coalition army. Terumi-Mei couldn't help but wonder whether it was revenge or gratitude. Everyone, let's not care about anything else. Rayuya glanced at Terumi-Mei with a guilty conscience, and said solemnly with a light cough. Our next focus is how to rescue Killer Bee in Naruto. Not bad. This is the most urgent matter at the moment, and everyone looks serious in an instant. They have already defeated their opponents, and they are all fakes like Xuan technique. Deidara blew himself up and died, and the others in Akatsuki's organization, as well as Naruto and Killer Bee, were missing. Immediately afterwards, Rayya explained Obito's abilities. After listening to Hot, everyone frowned. According to Rayya, Akatsuki at this time may have taken Jinchuriki anywhere. The world is so big, for a while, how to find it? Master Rayya. When everyone was in a hurry, the little Katsuyu on Ryuya's neckline suddenly said excitedly. There is news from Tsunade-sama, there is news from Naruto and others. Okay. Hearing this, everyone's eyes widened instantly. Chapter 91. In the situation here, through Katsuyu's clone, Rayuya has notified Tsunade in time. But what I didn't expect was that Tsunade had Naruto and their whereabouts immediately. Speaking of which, it was also a coincidence. Not long ago, a woman came to Konoha, claiming that she was once a member of Akatsuki's organization, and now she has left, and is willing to provide Konoha with all the information of Akatsuki's organization. And Tsunade recognized at a glance that this woman was one of the 3 disciples who had also taken in the Land of Rain during the Second Ninja World War. Conan. Listening to Katsuyu's narration, Rayuya was also an accident. Akatsuki had only one woman, and that was Conan. Pen fails to invade Konoha, Nagato and Conan are rescued by Obito, and Rayuya has no more news, their news. At this time Conan suddenly appeared, saying that he had left the Akatsuki organization and was willing to provide Akatsuki's information, which really puzzled Rayuya. After all, Akatsuki was created by her, Yahiko and Nagato, and it can be said to be the carrier of their dreams. Yahiko died many years ago by Hanzo of the Salamander. And just half a month ago, Uchiha Madara killed Nagato and took away his Rinnegan. The current Akatsuki has already deviated from the original intention of Yahiko and Nagato and became Uchiha Madara's tool to destroy the world. Akatsuki was created by us together. As the only living being, I have the responsibility to take the faith of Yahiko and Nagato and destroy it. At this time, as the little Katsuyu continued to report, Ryuya's doubts were solved, and at the same time, his brows were frowned. It seems that after Pen failed to invade Konoha, Nagato was already overwhelmed because of the successive use of large-scale ninjutsu. Obito at this time took the opportunity to capture his Rinnegan. As far as Rayuya knows, Rinnegan of Nagato actually belonged to the real Uchiha Madara. The reason why Madara gave Nagato Rinnegan is, I hope he will launch the round revolving heaven technique, to bring him back to life. Obito, another chess piece of Madara, is responsible for supervising Nagato to complete this mission. Everything in the world is directly proportional, and you have to pay as much as you want. The revolving heaven technique can resurrect the dead, but also at the cost of the caster's own life. At this time, Obito suddenly captured Nagato's Rinnegan, obviously not trying to die for Nagato. In other words, Obito has betrayed Madara. In fact, Obito in the original book did the same, and he intended to truly replace Madara. However, it is a pity that people are not as good as the sky. These cannot be mentioned for the time being, because Obito killed Nagato, Conan was determined to rebel, and he wanted to destroy Akatsuki's organization himself, so he took the initiative to contact Konoha. Stronghold. Obito and the others captured Killer Bee and Naruto, but they want to extract the tail beast from their bodies. They need summoning to take out the Geto statue and apply the Magic 9 Dragon Seal technique. This can't be done anywhere, it needs a dedicated base. And over the years Xiao Xiao has been preparing for this, so in many countries, a dozen strongholds, large and small, have been secretly built. Obito wanted to sample 8 tails and 9 tails, and it must be one of them. After getting this information, Tsunade notified each shadow and village, and then arranged rescues at a distance. There are 2 strongholds, the closest to Rayuya and the others, and they need to rush to them directly. Immediately afterwards, little Katsuyu informed Rayuya of the specific locations of the 2. So next, it's grouping and going to rescue. Since we are going to be divided into 2 teams, of course Tsuchikage and Mizukage will each lead one team 1. And in order to hurry up, the number of people in each team should not be too many, 3 or 4 people, that's all. So be it. After a few minutes, the team is complete. Taking into account the ability configuration, Tsuchikage first team 1, in addition to also good at Earth-style ninjutsu. There are also Konoha's physique master Guy, and Wood-style ninja Yamato. The Mizukage team 1 is the Black Soil who is good at Earth-style ninjutsu, and Rayya who is full of abilities. Okay. It turned out to be one with Rayya, but obviously, this is the most reasonable way to split. Now that it is important to save people, Tsurumi glared at Rayya and didn't say much. Set off. Without further ado, everyone dared not delay, and immediately rushed to 2 strongholds. As Jinchuriki, once the tail beast is drawn, it will die. And if you want to extract the tail beast, from the new seal to the Ghetto statue, it takes at least 4 or 5 days to know the current number. That is to say, the coalition has a maximum of 4 days, and once more than 10 days, both Jinchuriki he was pulled out of the tail beast and died. You go first, I will bring a companion, and I will catch up with you soon. After walking for a while, Rayya suddenly said something. Companion. Tsurumi was stunned. Everyone was on the island just now. Where did Ryuya's other companions come from? But before she could speak, Rayya was already running in the other direction. Humph. Acting without permission from the captain, Tsurumi looked upset. But now that time is running out, she can't bother with Rayya. Hee. Heimu glanced at Rayya who was leaving, then looked at Tsurumi and couldn't help but smile. Rayya seems to be afraid of Mizukage's sister. Humph. That's because he is sorry for me. Oh, I'm sorry. F.A. That is. Tsurumi stagnated for an instant. She couldn't say that she was exploded by Rayya. Then, looking at the expression of 8 trigrams on Heimu's face, he couldn't help but snorted. Children don't inquire. So, as the first girl of Cardamom, she is indulging in the black soil of various love stories, and can't help but smiles weirdly. Obviously, she has already filled up a story with a completely different style of painting. At this time, Rayya flashed one after another, returning directly to the island where Shongrin and the others were. Acting with Tsurumi, Rayya is a little uncomfortable, but he won't run away yet. The reason he left the team was indeed to bring a helper. Obito already has 4 tail beasts in his hands. This rescue operation is likely to use the power of tail beasts. Ryuya's new technique, borrowing the tail beast chakra, has a range of only 10 kilometers, so he must bring Jinchuriki. By Wooden Golem, you follow me. On the way, I had already decided on a candidate. Let Shongrin and Fu continue to stay on the island to practice. Rayya directly took away Wooden Golem. The reason for bringing Wooden Golem is because she is the strongest and can better protect herself. One more thing. Rayya doesn't want other people to know that 7 Tails Jinchuriki is with him, let alone reveal the identity of Shongrong 3 Tails Jinchuriki. Well, it's time. After clarifying the situation with Wooden Golem on the road, the two rushed to the base as quickly as possible. 2 days later, the system's 60-day period has expired, and Rayya once again gets the opportunity of unlimited enhancement. Strengthen the strange power. Without thinking about it, Rayya gave the order directly. Found it. 3 days later, in the evening, Rayya arrived at the base, and then from the other direction, Tsurumi and Kuroi also arrived almost at the same time. Where is your companion? Looking around, seeing that only Rayya is alone, Tsurumi couldn't help asking. She has something temporarily and can't come. Rayya said, without explaining. This kind of nonsense, don't talk about Tsurumi, even the little girl Hei-tu can't deceive. Obviously Rayya didn't want to say, then she didn't need to ask, anyway, it didn't delay the matter. Immediately afterwards, everyone turned their eyes to the stronghold in front of them. It's a huge cave, but the entrance of the cave is blocked by a huge rock, and a scroll with the word .. sealed is pasted on it. On the way, I contacted Katsuyu and kept getting the latest information from Tsunade. In the past 3 days, there are a total of 17 strongholds. The coalition forces have searched 13, but they have not found Naruto and Killer Bee. And this one in front of me is one of the last 444, but if it's inside, everyone doesn't know what to do. Just go in and find out. At this time, the Black Soil opened his mouth, and then walked straight to the front of the boulder. Earth-style rock fist technique. Earth-style super heavy rock technique. Hei-tu's face was serious, and he used 2 ninjutsu in succession. Rock fist technique. Wrap your fist with rocks, like a rock glove. The super aggravated rock technique strengthens the power of the fist 10 times. The black soil wants to use brute force to directly break the boulder and open the hole. I have to say that although Heitu is a girl, and she is only 18 years old now, she is the rock shinobi elite Jonin, the future Tsuchikage. In addition to good-looking appearance, strength is also extremely powerful. What? After the ninjutsu bonus was completed, the black soil yelled, and without hesitation, he punched the rock. But the next moment, there was no scene of landslides, and there was basically no movement. The black soil's punch seemed to hit the surface of the water, only a thin layer of ripples swayed. Really, the power of the black soil fist, even though it was 10 times larger than this boulder, was shattered. The reason for this is obviously that there is an enchantment at this entrance. After all, it was a secret stronghold that Akatsuki carefully built. How could it be so simple? Originally, this punch was a test, and then everyone raised their heads and looked at the enchantment talisman on the boulder. 5 enchantments. Terumi Mei spoke and said a name. The so-called 5-season enchantment is an enchantment connected by 5 talisman in 555 positions. Because borrowing the energy of the 5 directions, it is almost impossible to break it by external force alone. But as long as you know the details of these 5 enchantments, it is easy to crack them, as long as 5 people work together and remove the enchantment at the same time. In the original book, Akatsuki's base for extracting one tail is also this kind of barrier protection. But on the enchantment talisman, another trap was set. Once the other 4 talismans are removed, there will be a copy person who will use the same ability to block the talismans. Beware of traps. Thinking of this, Rayya couldn't help but remind. Of course I know this. Terumi Mei hummed softly, and straightened out 555 water bodies. Good idea. Rayya smiled and nodded. Even if there is a trap, let the clone step on it, and the ability to copy the clone does not matter. Immediately afterwards, the 3 of them showed their abilities. For example, Rayya separated thousands of clones, and quickly found the location of the other 4 seals. After determining the location, Rayya let the Katsuyu on his body split into 555 again, and followed Terumi Mei's water body one by one for contact. Then next, let's start. The clone is already in place, and Terumi Mei gives the order. Shit. Under the contact of Katsuyu, the 555 water bodies together remove the 5 seals at the same time. Quasi. The barrier was lifted. Terumi Mei just wanted to give an order. Suddenly her eyes widened and she fell directly to the ground. What happened? Upon seeing this, Rayya and Black Earth couldn't help being surprised. Sure enough, there is a trap. Terumi Mei sat up reluctantly and frowned. There is indeed a trap on the seal, but it is not a copy of the ability of the talisman, but a paralyzing toxin. The most powerful thing is that this toxin can be connected through the clone and the main body, the chakra, while killing the clone, direct feedback to the body. Next, I can only rely on the 2 of you. Although not reconciled, in a short time, Terumi Mei was unable to call chakra and was unable to fight. Don't worry, super heavy rock technique. The Black Earth roared, and then hit the boulder with a punch. Boom. After losing the barrier protection, with a loud noise, the boulder in front of him was instantly shattered. Immediately afterwards, a dark hole was exposed. On. Rayya and Black Earth glanced at each other, and they swayed into the hole at the same time. Hey, I was found. In the depths of the cave, a cold voice sounded. Then, 2 people walked out, Orochimaru and Sasuke. Behind them, Naruto was lying on the ground, still in a coma. Found it. The big prize was drawn, and Rayya smiled. Great. At the same time, Tsunade, who learned the news through Katsuyu, was also excited. After searching the 14th stronghold, I finally found it. However, apart from Naruto, neither Killer Bee nor Obito was seen. Rayya frowned again. Obviously, Obito took Killer Bee to another stronghold. And it is very likely that the 8 tails of Killer Bee are being drawn at this time. And the fact is that, if it weren't for Rayya, they suddenly rushed in. Sasuke and Orochimaru, at this time, are also helping to cast the Magic 9 Dragon Seal. Recover Naruto. Understand. I can't take care of that much, let's take back Naruto first. With a soft drink, Rayya rushed up with the black soil. Hey, this kid is mine. Rayya destroyed Otonin village, and Orochimaru hated sleepless nights. At this time, the enemy was extremely jealous when they met, sneered, and directly greeted Rayya. Sasuke has not spoken, and directly meets Obito. Bang bang bang. The next moment, in this cave, 4 of them will hand in pairs. The strength of the 4 people 4 is all shadow level, quasi-shadow level, just competing physical skills. It is extremely dangerous. Lava style. Lime condensation technique. After fighting for a while, no one took advantage, and the black soil seized the opportunity and directly launched ninjutsu. Lava style. The blood bounded by the combination of fire and earth attribute chakra is powerful. I saw a piece of cement, sprayed out of the black soil mouth, and poured directly onto Sasuke. With a muffled noise, the black soil's ninjutsu not only failed to trap Sasuke. Instead, Sasuke seized the opportunity and kicked her directly. Heimu immediately got up, wiped the blood stains from the corners of his mouth. His face was full of anger. I can't see Uchiha's eyes, I can't fight at all. Substitution. Rayya gave a soft drink, then flashed, rushing directly to Sasuke. Thank you, little handsome guy. Kuroi smiled happily, then stopped Orochimaru, who was haunting Rayya. It's still 2-on-2, but it's just an exchange of opponents. Sharingan, as one of the 3 major pupil techniques, has both the ability of insight and hypnosis. As long as you look at each other, it is very likely that you will be hit by the opponent's illusion. What's more, Sasuke has transplanted Itachi's eyes and turned on Eternal Mangekyo Sharingan. The pupils are so strong that even the black soil dare not care. But Rayya is different. With the illusory realm's so-called abilities, if Sasuke dares to use illusionism on him, he will find his own way. Fire style. Phoenix fire technique. But unexpectedly, in addition to physical skills, Sasuke occasionally uses ninjutsu attacks, but he doesn't use illusions. Ryuya's illusory realm only eye ability never revealed others. It was only in the original raid on Otonin village and used it a few times. Even Orochimaru, at best, I know that Rayya has some powerful illusion ability. But according to Orochimaru's personality, it is impossible to tell Sasuke such important information. That being said, Sasuke deliberately didn't use illusions on Rayya, probably because Rayya looked at him unscrupulously, which aroused his vigilance. Trouble. I have to say that as an excellent ninja, Sasuke has a strong fighting mind. Moreover, physique and ninjutsu are also very strong. With Sharingan, even if you don't use illusion, you can perceive every small movement. Even if Rayya kept moving with the body replacement technique, there was no chance at all. Amaterasu. After a fight, neither of the 2 sides took advantage. Sasuke screamed and directly used his Mangekyo Sharingan's abilities. Rayya knew the power of Amaterasu very well, so he didn't dare to take it carelessly, and immediately the body replacement technique shifted. As soon as Rayya disappeared, a group of dangerous black flames appeared at his location. Inferno style. Flame control. Amaterasu failed. Sasuke was not lost, but Sharingan immediately captured Ryuya's new location and performed a 2-stage attack. Flame control is the ability of Sasuke's other Mangekyo Sharingan, which can change the form of Amaterasu's flames. With a soft drink from him, the black flame turned into an arrow and shot towards Rayya. Rayya, who had just flashed, instantly changed his face, cursed, and quickly moved as a substitute again. Pong! The black arrow fell through again, fell to the top of the cave, attached to it, and began to burn continuously. The so-called Amaterasu means, before the target burns out, it will never go out. The situation is not good. Rayya and Sasuke drew a distance, glanced at the horrible black flame above their heads, then glanced at the black soil, and couldn't help but frown. Although the strength of the black soil is not weak, it is compared to the big snake. It's a bit worse. At the moment, it can only be held temporarily, but if it takes a long time, it will definitely be defeated. In this way, if Rayya can't be as good as Sasuke, by that time, 2-1, let alone rescue Naruto, I am afraid they will all be in danger. But Mangekyo Sharingan's Zuo has powerful abilities and strong insight. Although Ryuya's body replacement technique is constantly shifting and his body technique is strong, he can't hide it from his eyes. Unfortunately, thinking of this, Rayya couldn't help sighing secretly. If it hadn't been for the trap, Tsurumime would have lost his fighting power, and this battle would not have been so passive. There is no other way but to do his best. Rayya then sinks, just, with a soft drink. Sage mode. Pong. With the change in form, the foot suddenly exerted force, and the ground was instantly crushed, like a cannonball out of the chamber, directly rushing towards Sasuke. What is this? Under Sharingan, I saw Ryuya's blood flow rapidly, and there was a large amount of airflow around chakra, and Sasuke couldn't help but be surprised. At this time, Rayya had already rushed forward, and Sasuke was horrified again, so fast. Bang! The next moment, Rayya punched him up, and Sasuke had no time to dodge, so he could only take it hard. Good wait. A huge force came, and Sasuke stepped back several steps. After standing still, I looked at Rayya again, frowning. In this state, Ryuya's strength and speed are more than 10 times higher than before. In this way, even if he has an insightful Sharingan and can see Ryuya's movements clearly, his body may not be able to keep up. Hey! At this time, Rayya smiled at the corner of his mouth and rushed up again. Regardless of the move, facing Sasuke is a chase. Amaterasu. It was difficult to fight for a while. Sasuke gave a soft drink, and used the Mangekyo Sharingan ability again to temporarily stop Rayya. What about Amaterasu? But what Sasuke didn't expect was that Rayya screamed and still punched him. Bang! In the next moment, with a muffled sound, a punch hit Sasuke's cheek, directly knocking him out. Ahem. After rolling a few times on the ground, Sasuke got up and couldn't help but vomit a mouthful of blood. Haha. But then, Sasuke grinned. Ryuya's punch was really heavy, but when he touched Amaterasu, his arm was also broken. This is. Just as Sasuke was proud, he suddenly saw Rayya shake his hand and flung the black flame around his arm directly away. At this time, looking at his arm, there was no damage at all. How is this possible? Surprised, Sasuke took a closer look, and then realized that his brows were frowning again. It was the chakra wrapped around Rayya, and he used these, like chakras, to isolate Amaterasu. Sasuke, the black soil can't last too long, and the battle must be resolved as soon as possible. Rayya screamed and rushed up again. Ha 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 ha. At this moment, Sasuke suddenly laughed frantically, and then quickly closed the seal and shouted. Kirin, Chi. Rayya, who was about to rush up, his face changed drastically when he heard these two words. Boom, boom, and at this moment, a huge thunder sounded above my head. Kirin, the lightning-style level ninjutsu developed by Sasuke himself. In the original book, he made his first stunning appearance against Itachi. First, a large number of fire-style ninjutsu was shot into the sky, causing weather changes and gathering thunderclouds. Then change the shape of the thunder and lightning, like the same head. The blue unicorn beast, causing huge damage to the ground. But at this time, Sasuke did not inject a lot of fire-style ninjutsu into the sky. How did the thundercloud, broken? Rayuya was startled at first, and then suddenly remembered, today seems to be cloudy. As for how Sasuke caused thunder and lightning in the cave. Looking up, the rock wall above his head has been burned through by Amaterasu, revealing a hole and you can see the sky. It turns out that Sasuke's previous Amaterasu attack was not aimed at Rayuya, the real purpose was to open the hole. Boom. In the next moment, with the thunderous noise, as if you can hear the roar of the giant beast, the unicorn made up of billions of thunder and lightning has fallen from the sky. Boom. Then in countless thunder lights, the entire mountain collapsed instantly. Although Kilin is ninjutsu, it is not chakra condensation, but thunder and lightning in nature. What Sasuke did was just to guide the use of these. Thunder and lightning. Therefore, the power of this technique depends entirely on the amount of lightning from outside. Before Rayuya and the others entered the cave, the sky was already gloomy. In the process of their fight, the sky was already covered with dark clouds. Gathering such a huge number of lightning and lightning together, and then all together, the power of the earth is unimaginable. Sky Wrath, outside the cave, watching Wanjin thunder fall, and instantly smashed the mountain. Terumi Mei's eyes widened and her face was full of horror. Wow, wow. After a while, a white snake sage climbed out of the rock fragments. It was Orochimaru. Sasuke, I used the snake flow body replacement technique to escape the catastrophe, and forced to show the body, Orochimaru, the snake-like pupils became more and more cold. Are you trying to kill me together? Yes. With another clatter, a pile of rocks was knocked into the air, and Sasuke, who was under the protection of Susanoo, glanced at Orochimaru indifferently. But it's a pity, Sasuke, I really want to praise you. Haha, what you did is amazing. Facing the unabashed Sasuke, Orochimaru was not angry, but laughed excitedly. Although he lost a body, he also killed Rayya, which is so happy. After a while, Orochimaru calmed down again and looked at Sasuke and said with a smile. It's a pity, I'm afraid that Nine-Tails Jinchuriki, your former partner, was also killed together. Sasuke, how do you explain to Madara? That guy, it's not so easy to die. Sasuke snorted and was about to rip through the ruins and find Naruto. Boom, and at this moment, there was a loud noise, and a pile of rubble suddenly exploded. Both Sasuke and Orochimaru were taken aback, and their faces were instantly alert. Bah, bah, cough cough. Immediately afterwards, with a coughing sound, the dust gradually fell, revealing two figures, Rayya and Black Earth. And under their feet, Naruto was still lying. You are not dead. Seeing the good Rayya, Sasuke frowned in an instant. Under this attack, Rayya and the others not only survived, but they were unscathed. As that, the dirt wall. Orochimaru was also full of irritation, remembering Ryuya's latest information, and gritted his teeth. Orochimaru guessed right, it was Tsurubi. When the unicorn fell, Sasuke protected herself with Susanoo. And Rayya also used the earth flow wall to protect him and the black soil, Naruto. The unicorn just now is indeed powerful, and the mountain collapsed and smashed countless boulders, but unfortunately, it still can't break the 864 level ninjutsu earth stream that has been strengthened 864 times. Orochimaru, full of anger, roared inside. In the roar, his body began to change rapidly. In a blink of an eye, in the horrified gaze of the black soil, the white-scaled big snake has become 200 or 300 meters long, with 8 huge monsters with 8 heads. The key technique. Seeing Orochimaru transformed into a monster, Rayya frowned slightly, then said to the black soil. Take Naruto back a little bit. But, okay. Heitu hesitated slightly, then nodded. Faced with the two powerful enemies of the avatar monster alone, Kuroi is full of worry for Rayya. But she understands that with her strength, it will only be a hindrance at this time. In the next moment, Kuroizu took Naruto and returned directly to Tsurumime in the distance. Immediately afterwards, the clone of Katsuyu summoned by Rayya earlier climbed onto Naruto and treated him immediately. Boom. At this moment, Sasuke's Susanoo is also changing rapidly. It was originally just a skeleton of a skeleton, and it was quickly covered with meridians and flesh and blood. That is, from the first form to the second form. In this form, not only is the defense stronger, but it can also be equipped with exclusive weapons. For example, Susanoo of Sasuke has a huge bow and arrow in his hand. Is it big? Rayya smiled at the corner of his mouth, then his face suddenly sank. The kingdoms of the heavens. The Buddha came to the world. Pong. In the next moment, with a muffled noise, Rayya became a Buddha with no loss of body shape, Orochimaru and Sasuke, covered with gold paint. Hehe, is it that bluffing transformation technique again? Seeing Rayya in this state, Orochimaru couldn't help laughing. In the previous Five Shadows tournament, Rayya used a technique called the Great Tengu God of the Kingdom of All Heavens technique to become a huge monster, the Great Tengu. But then Obito saw through it, but it was just a bluffing transformation technique. Of course, Orochimaru already knows such important information. Go to hell. The next moment, Orochimaru roared, and the 8 heads rushed towards Rayya frantically. Boom. At the same time, driven by Sasuke, Susanoo also moved towards Rayya and raised a huge fist. Quote. Seeing this scene, not only the black soil, but even Mizukage Tsurumime can't help but have a terrifying face. Yachi Orochi, Susanoo, Golden Buddha, what level of battle is this? Rayya. Then, I was full of worries about Rayya. After all, the other party has really turned into a monster, and Rayya is just a transformation technique. 10,000 tornadoes. Just as Tsurumime and the others were worried, Orochimaru and Sasuke had already flicked Rayya from left to right. At this moment, only hearing Ryuya's violent drink, the huge figure suddenly jumped and kicked directly at the two of them. Boom. In the next moment, with a dull loud noise, the huge Yaki Orochi was lifted up and flew out. Boom! Eight heads rolled into a ball, and after leveling a forest, they directly hit a hill. Under the huge impact, the mountain collapsed instantly. Pong! At the same time, Susanoo, who was also kicked, was in the same loud noise that made his chest tight and uncomfortable. It claims to have the power of God, is indestructible, and the body condensed with chakra is instantly kicked in half. This. Terumi Mei and Kuroi, who were still worried about Rayya just now, their eyes widened and their faces were dull. It wasn't until a long while before that he suddenly recovered, and he closed his mouth in horror. Isn't it a transformation technique? Isn't it a mere appearance? What is going on with such a terrifying attack? Sister Mizukage. At this moment, the black soil suddenly looked at Terumi Mei and said seriously. This man, if you don't want it, let me give it to the little girl. Terumi Mei was startled, and then suddenly smiled and said. Then you have to think carefully, that man has a very special taste. Special taste? What special taste? You may have a chance to try. Terumi Mei smiled deeply, and didn't say anything else. Then he looked at Rayya and couldn't help thinking, yeah, which woman doesn't love powerful men? How can that be? In addition to Terumi Mei and Kurosuke, Orochimaru and Sasuke were also surprised. Just now Ryuya's seal, the operation, it is really just a transformation technique. But the terrifying power just now is also real. Theoretically speaking, transformation technique is transformation technique after all, not the secret of the Akamaiki family. I see, it's that, kicking skills. It has to be said that Orochimaru is worthy of the legendary Sannin, a rare genius in the ninja world, and he understands after a little thought. It is not that Rayya has turned into a giant and possesses great power. It's his original kicking skill, that is, with such a terrifying power. After all, Rayya kicked Junmaro's bones abruptly back then. The strength that originally weighed 10,000 tons, combined with the giant human body hundreds of meters high, instantly expanded the attack range by 100-fold. And so, can we really hurt the huge Orochimaru and Sasuke? Haha, see what else you can do. After figuring this out, Orochimaru couldn't help laughing excitedly. Ryuya's abilities are extremely weird, his own power is average, and he has such terrifying power only when he uses Leaf Hurricane. That being the case, Rayya can't help but avoid this kicking technique. And at this time, I have to say that after incarnation of the Ochi Orochi, there are 8 lives with 8 heads. Ryuya's kick was really heavy just now, but it just scrapped Orochimaru's head. Fire style. Great fireball technique. Orochimaru was full of excitement, thinking that he had seen through Ryuya's details, he would pounce on Rayya again. At this moment, with a loud drink, only an exaggerated fireball was flying towards him. Even Orochimaru's huge body of Yaki, facing the fireball with a diameter of a kilometer, it looks so small, even a little pitiful. Boom, just got such a heavy kick, followed by such a fireball, it was a bully. Orochimaru was aggrieved instantly. But he hadn't finished speaking, the fireball was like a meteorite, and it had fallen, and then there was a loud roar, and the huge flame instantly engulfed him. After the fireball exploded, a strong air current swept around, and Sasuke and Susanoo also felt a huge impact. Looking at this scene, his face couldn't help becoming pale. Even if he borrows the power of nature, the unicorn that is drawn down does not have such a terrifying power. Is this really just fire style? And what Rayuya yelled just now, great fireball, as a Uchiha clan, he has never seen this kind of great fireball. What a great fireball. Oh my god. And Terumi Mei and the black soil, under the impact of the strong wind, were completely dumbfounded. Incarnate into a giant beast, at every turn, this kind of move, is this really a battle between mortals? At the same time, Terumi Mei suddenly thought that Rayuya stabbed her at the beginning. But obviously, Rayuya, who didn't try her best, also let her life. At this moment, there was a loud anger, and Orochimaru, with only 444 heads left, rushed out of the flames like a madness. Although he was huge, his speed approached Rayuya in a blink of an eye. Immediately after, giving Rayuya Yi Whirlwind no chance at all, he leapt at the right angle, and had already entangled Ryuya's body. After haunting Rayuya, Orochimaru laughed wildly with triumph. At the same time, he discovered that Rayya, who was unable to perform kicking skills, was really just an ordinary person's power. With the power of an ordinary person, how could it be possible to compete with his eight-kissed body? Noisy. Facing the proud Orochimaru, Rayya looked indifferent, then raised his hand and punched ahead. Pong. The next moment, just a muffled sound, the huge snake head is like a rotten watermelon, and it explodes instantly. This. Orochimaru's remaining three heads were all stunned in an instant, with a face full of disbelief. Rayya shouldn't have the power to match this body, and he didn't use kicking skills, just a seemingly ordinary punch. In that case, how can he have such a powerful force? I want you to die. I don't understand. Orochimaru has a grim face and is completely mad. Then there was a roar, and the last three snake heads were left, biting Rayya together. Papa, 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 and the next moment, with only a muffled sound, a massive amount of chakra burst out of Rayya's body, transforming into huge palms, and clinging to the three snake heads. Ah! The snake who was pinched by its neck uttered a hoarse roar while struggling desperately. He couldn't understand where Rayya's large number of chakras suddenly appeared. Tailed beast. At this moment, Sasuke and Sharingan, who were standing next to him, looked at Rayya, frowning instantly. At this time, Rayya's power is clearly the same as Naruto's, it is the chakra of the tailed beast, disturbing. But Rayya is clearly not Jinchuriki, how could he have such a huge tail beast chakra? This is. Immediately afterwards, Sharingan observed carefully. Sasuke discovered that the tailed beast chakra surrounding Rayya's body was not released from his body, but was gathered from the outside world. At this time, Rayya, like a black hole, gathered all the tailed beast's chakra from the outside on the surface of his body, as if wearing a thick dress. But the question is, where is the tailed beast chakra from the outside world, Sasuke? You still don't make it. Do you want to see me killed by him? While Sasuke was thinking about it, Orochimaru, who was still unable to break free, screamed angrily at Sasuke. In fact, Sasuke would love to see Orochimaru killed by Rayya. But at this time, if Orochimaru is really killed, he alone might not be Rayya's opponent. Thinking of this, Sasuke drives Susanoo and pulls away the huge bow in his hand. Then use flame control to condense the black flames of Amaterasu into arrows. Whoosh! The next moment, the bow is full of moon, and the arrows are like shooting stars. Boom! Right in the middle of Rayya, and then there is a loud noise. But unfortunately, it didn't hurt Rayya. I saw the chakra around Rayya's body, and its shape changed, like the same side. The thick shield directly blocked the arrow. After the shot, the arrows dispersed and turned into a blazing black flame again. At the same time, Rayya will be abandoned by the burning chakra, not taking up any of his body at all. Quote. Seeing this scene, Sasuke frowned. I'm afraid it's troublesome now. Go to hell. At this moment, Rayya shouted and banged, and Chakra's arm directly pressed Orochimaru to the ground. Immediately afterwards, thousands of these arms appeared behind Rayya, and then fell to Orochimaru like a gust of wind. Senju Tathagata in the blood flow fairy tale beast mode. Takagi Rayya level. Jonin organs, ears, brain, heart. Lungs skills. Summoning ninjutsu 1000 years of. Death strengthening plus 86 grade body replacement technique. Strengthening plus 86 grade ninjutsu drawing sword strengthening plus 86 grade physique toad oil bomb enhancement plus 64 ninjutsu leaf hurricane enhancement plus 64 ninjutsu clone technique enhancement plus 86 ninjutsu 4 elephant seal enhancement plus 64 ninjutsu great fireball technique enhancement plus 86 ninjutsu soil flow wall enhancement plus level 86 ninjutsu transformation technique strengthen level plus 86 ninjutsu monster strength enhancement level plus 86 ninjutsu. On the day before arriving at the stronghold, Rayya once again got the opportunity of unlimited enhancement and directly chose the enhanced level. Ninjutsu Strange Power. Strange Power is a skill that gathers chakra a little and then releases it suddenly, which can cause huge damage. Because of the different concentration positions, there are many applications such as Sakura Flower Chong, Pain Tianjiao, and so on. But the most fundamental, strange power is the control of chakra. After 864 enhancements, Rayya's control of chakra has reached the level of detailed. Even Tsunade can only focus Chakra's fists, but cannot compress it further. But at this time, Rayya can even concentrate the whole body of chakra on the fingertips. Imagine that with the huge amount of chakra in Rayya's body, compressed to such a degree, how terrifying the power is except. Chakra inside, entering after Thichi and blood flow fairy tail beast mode. Like the tail beast chakra surrounded by airflow, Rayya can control it like an arm. In fact, the reason why Rayya learns the strange power and strengthens it without hesitation is to further improve the chi and blood flow. Now it turns out that his choice is wise. Senju Tathagata in the blood flow fairy tail beast mode. With Ryuya's violent drink, thousands of chakra arms thumped Orochimaru in a storm. If you simply change the shape of chakra, the strength of the formed arm comes from the toughness of chakra itself, which is actually extremely limited. But after strengthening the strange power, Rayya strengthened the control of chakra. At this time, each chakra arm is actually composed of countless chakra condensed dots. With the fist being thrown, these points are released in sequence, thus forming a huge impact. Just imagine, a large number of chakra condenses and releases a little, the power is amazing, let alone countless such points superimposed, the power of this punch, it's horrible. Boom boom boom. In the midst of a loud roar, thousands of punches fell, not only Orochimaru's body, but also the heavy ground below, it was instantly crushed. Boom. Thousands of punches hit instantly after that, just listening to a loud noise, a large pit several miles in diameter and hundreds of meters deep suddenly appeared. Rayya and Orochimaru, who were still pressing, fell straight down. And look at it now, let alone Orochimaru's remaining 3 heads, even his huge body has long been turned into a pool of meat. Quote. Seeing this scene, Terumi and Hei too, with wide open eyes and half-open mouth, were dumbfounded, and had completely lost the ability to think. There is only one question that keeps echoing in my heart, is this really human power? Compared to the two of them farther apart, Sasuke in front of him felt more intuitive, and his face turned pale. Such a terrifying power, let alone Orochimaru's body, even his Susanoo, I am afraid it will collapse instantly. Thinking of this, Sasuke frowned. Then release. Susanoo, turn around and run away. The two of them joined forces, and they were not Ryuya's opponents. Now Orochimaru has been abandoned, and he is the only one. Whoosh. And the moment Sasuke turned around, a figure suddenly appeared in front of him, it was Rayya. Rayya smiled at him, and then he flew up. Sasuke's face changed suddenly, and he couldn't care about other things, so he hurriedly supported Susanoo. But time is running out, and he has no time to launch a complete form. He just called out a pair of ribs to protect himself. Bang! The next moment, with a muffled noise, Rayya kicked Susanoo in his initial form. Click, click. Immediately after hearing a faint sound, Susanoo's bones, under Ryuya's tremendous strength, were instantly covered with cracks. Pong! Then there was another muffled sound, like a glass, bursting directly. Puff! Although he blocked Ryuya's kick, Susanoo was kicked and exploded, and a huge shock came. Sasuke's eyes widened in an instant, and he let out a muffled snort, just, a big mouthful of blood spurted out. Looking at Rayuya in front of him, Sasuke's face was full of unwillingness. Plop! But as soon as he said a word, he fell to the ground and passed out. Finished. It's over. It wasn't until this time that Kirito and Terumi came back to their senses. Looking at the terrifying pit and the fallen Sasuke, I was still in a daze. Quote. At this time, Rayuya looked at the fallen Sasuke with an extremely indifferent expression. As a traverser, he still liked this male second, but Sasuke shouldn't kill his teacher. As a disciple of 3rd generation, he should kill Sasuke to get revenge. But the 4th Ninja World War is about to begin, and Sasuke, as a member of Akatsuki, must have a lot of information that he doesn't even know about him. So Rayuya can't kill him and wants to bring him back to Konoha. After digging up the information from him, Rayuya believed that Konoha would give him the sanctions he deserved. Unfortunately, immediately afterwards, Rayuya looked at the big hole he had blasted out of, and sighed helplessly. Orochimaru, who became the Yachi Orochi, has been smashed by him. But this level can't kill Orochimaru. Rayuya wondered, even if Orochimaru's body could not escape, there were other ways to resurrect, and then suddenly appeared in front of everyone. Mission completed. Retreat. No matter what, Naruto was saved. Rayya picked up Sasuke and returned to Tsurumime and them. Then take Naruto, who hasn't awakened, and return to Konoha together. Just after Rayya and the others rescued Naruto, other search and rescue teams also completed the investigation of the remaining strongholds. In one of them, Killer Bee was finally found. But the 8 tails in Killer Bee had been taken away. Fortunately, 8 tails has the ability to escape by docking its tail, leaving a tail in the body of the Killer Bee. Therefore, even if the tail beast was taken away, Killer Bee saved his life. And in this way, this time the recapture of the tail beast has also come to an end. The coalition forces lost 8 tails and Akatsuki lost Kisame, Deidara, and Sasuke. But in the overall battle situation, Akatsuki has already controlled 5 tail beasts, and the coalition has 4 remaining, and the advantages and disadvantages have been reversed. At the Five Shadows Conference, Obito declared war on the world, and the war had already begun. And the first step in the war is to gather intelligence. Hoshigaki Kisame hides the Samahata sword and easily sneaks into the core of the coalition forces. Not only found the hiding places of 8 tails and 9 tails, but also detected a lot of information on the strength and deployment of the coalition forces. At the same time, the coalition forces also sent an infiltrating reconnaissance team and found the enemy's base camp. And with the cooperation of the sensing unit, I learned that the enemy's main force is 100,000 white Zetsu and many impure world reincarnation powerhouses. In terms of intelligence, the two sides have reached a tie. In the next Turtle Island raid, the tail beasts were reclaimed, and both sides suffered damages. The war is about to begin. Obito started the war this time in order to capture the tail beast and execute Project Tsuki no Mi. After the local tail beast competition is over, the next step is a large-scale battle. Konoha's side healed Naruto and hides behind him again, protected by Jiraiya himself. The captured Sasuke was handed over to the torture department to interrogate Akatsuki's intelligence. Immediately afterwards, the coalition forces gathered. The 5 great ninjas and the Iron Country warriors, a total of 80,000 people. In addition to perception, medical and other logistics units, daimyo escorts, infiltrating investigations and other squads, they are divided into 1 to 555 large units. You are on standby anytime. Rayya, as a powerful combat force that does not lose to the 5 shadows, did not incorporate any troops, but stayed in the combat headquarters as a trump card, ready to deal with various difficult situations. Set off. According to the detection of the sensing unit, the enemy has left the base camp. And their location, close to the country of fire and the country of thunder, is likely to directly invade. Therefore, the coalition forces mobilized various units and deployed them accordingly. And the surprise attack team led by Kankuro, as a tentative vanguard, walked in the forefront of the large force. Then soon, he encountered the enemy and started the battle. In this way, the 4th Ninja War officially started. Report to the headquarters. The enemy's route has changed, and marched towards the small country along the line of Tanokuni and Unokuni. Changed course. As the battle began, the intelligence forces were in charge of liaison, and all kinds of intelligence were continuously transmitted back to the command headquarters from the battlefield. What caught the command headquarters by surprise was that the enemy did not attack the country of fire and the country of thunder, but turned to the small neighboring countries. Our previous predictions were probably wrong. On the battle map, after some planning, Naruluju, who was the staff officer, frowned and said, "The enemy's goal is probably not the 5 big countries, but the small neighboring countries." Small country. Everyone in the command center frowned. If this is the case, then it will be troublesome. Although many small countries also have ninja villages, their strength is too low to resist Akatsuki's army. These small countries are slowly inserted among the 5 big countries. Once occupied by enemy forces, they can attack the 5 major countries at any time. Therefore, even if it is not out of human morality and purely from a strategic sense, these small countries must not be abandoned. Change your route now. After some discussion, the command issued an order to change the course of the troops to intercept the enemy's attack on the small country. The enemy is scattered again. But as soon as the command was adjusted, news came from the battlefield again. The enemies who had been advancing in two directions were again divided into more than 20 strands, and they rushed to many small countries among the 5 major countries. After getting the information, Raikage was full of anger. As a result, their previous deployment might be completely disrupted. There is no other way. Although they are not native to the 5 major countries, these small countries are extremely important and must not be allowed, give shao. So there is no way, the command can only give orders again. Temporarily split 1 to 5 large units into more than 20 units to block and intercept enemy forces one by one. But you must know that the personnel deployment of the original 5 major forces was relatively simple. For example, the first unit is a mid-range combat ninja who is good at ninjas and hidden weapons. For example, the second unit is basically a melee ninja. Originally, all large forces were required to cooperate with each other to conduct large-scale operations. Now that it is simply divided into various units to conduct unit operations, the ability is bound to be single, so it is easy to be targeted by the enemy. But the military situation is urgent, and the 80,000 coalition forces are so easy to reallocate, and it can only be so now. I have to say that in this way, the coalition forces have suffered a lot. But there is no way, who allowed the initial estimation to be wrong and the enemy took the initiative. Next, you can only make adjustments quickly while the battle is in progress, and the command headquarters is instantly busy. How so? Rayya is directly under the command, but does not participate in military planning. As the only idler, seeing the scene at this time, I can't help but look surprised. Rayya has no research on the military, but as a traveler, he knows the plot. The original plot is not like this. In the original, Obito commanded the army, and indeed went straight to the 5 major countries, which can be said to be a big battle. Therefore, the Fourth Ninja War, which took up a long period of time in the manga, actually lasted 3 days in total. But now, although the scale and the staffing of both sides are basically the same. But Obito did not go straight to the 5 major countries, but dispersed its forces, obviously fighting around each small country. Tailed beast. Rayya frowned. He muttered for a moment, and understood. The reason for this is probably because of the tail beast. In the original book, Obito has collected 7 tail beasts. But at this time, there are only 5, and the advantage over the coalition forces is not obvious. The difference in strength determines Obito's strategy. Start with a small country first, and then gradually attack the 5 major countries. This will be a protracted battle. Late at night, the headquarters was still busy, according to the intelligence that was constantly coming from the battlefield. After replanning the battle map, Luju couldn't help saying. And the subsequent development also verified Luju's words. Obito's army scattered and attacked various small countries. The coalition forces adjusted accordingly and resisted. However, the enemy forces do not engage in large-scale battles at all, basically harassment and destruction. Once they encounter strong resistance, they basically retreat immediately. As a result, with many small countries as the battlefield, the war has fallen into a stalemate. Such a flash, it was, more than a month. And judging from the enemy's current actions, it is obvious that he still wants to continue this kind of protracted war. How can it be done? As the trump card, Rayya has never had the opportunity to play because it is all small-scale battles. He has been on standby, continuing the study of chi and blood flow patterns. Although after strengthening the monster power, the control of chakra has been greatly improved. But how to increase the distance to accept the tail beast chakra, and the chakra that accepts multiple tail beasts at the same time, are still 2 major problems. Rayya. This morning, just as Rayya was scratching his head, Tsunade suddenly called him to the command post. It's time for you to play. The war lasted for more than a month. In addition to harassment, the enemy's first important strategic intent was finally exposed, and that was the giant whale island. The giant whale island was not large in size and was named because it looked like a huge whale. The island is deserted, without people, let alone a village country. But for the water country as an island country, the whale island is located between it and the land and is an important hub for its connection with the outside world. Moreover, the whale island is close to the country of fire and the country of thunder. Once it is occupied by the enemy, it is also a major threat to these 2 countries. Because of the importance of the whale island, the coalition army attached great importance to it from the beginning, and sent a special team to garrison. Just now, there was information from the island that several Impure World Reincarnation Masters attacked the Isle of Whales, and the coalition forces suffered heavy casualties. The situation is urgent, and the Isle of Whales cannot be lost, so I immediately find Rayya and let him help the Isle of Whales. Ready to go. In the command center, I do not know the fire mysterious room, and they are all the same. The three people of Dewey faced each other with 3 hands to form a triangle, and asked Rayya inside. Okay. Rayya nodded and took a deep breath. Let's start. It is good. The trio's faces suddenly became serious, and then they shouted. Flying Thunder or Ray technique. The trio 3 had served as the guards of 4th Hokage and were taught this technique. It is a powerful space ninjutsu, which can instantly teleport people or things in the formation to any place. I have to say that although Xuanjian Trio 3 did not go to the front line, with this technique, a large number of coalition masters were sent to various places, which played a huge role in the entire battle. As Rayya was teleporting, the situation on Whale Island was already critical. A thick fog filled with chakra covered the entire island. Except for Hyuga Hinata, who owns Byakugan, everyone's field of vision was less than 1 meter. The enemy is hidden in the thick fog, like a ghost. On the coalition side, there can only be a few people in groups, back-to-back vigilant against each other. But even so, they were still attacked one after another. In a short time, nearly 30 people have been killed. Everyone, be careful, another enemy is coming. As the only Hinata who can see clearly, he takes the initiative to take up the responsibility of investigating. However, the coalition forces are too scattered, and several enemies are constantly moving, which is difficult to take care of. The little girl from Hyuga. At the same time, the enemy also found Hinata. As a priority to solve the object, one of them directly rushed up. The opponent was extremely strong, and Hinata immediately fell into a bitter battle. After losing Hinata's reminder, the coalition forces became more passive. In a blink of an eye, 4 or 5 people were killed. How to do? Seeing that his teammates were killed one by one, but entangled Hinata, who was unable to get away, I couldn't help but feel anxious and tried to think about countermeasures. Ninfa, Needle Chibin. At this moment, the enemy seized the opportunity and released ninjutsu. Whoosh whoosh. I saw the enemy's thick hair, which instantly turned into a pin chibin, and shot Hinata densely. Not good. This technique is very fast and has a wide range. Hinata, who was distracted, found it too late to escape. Hinata couldn't think much about other things. I can use my limbs to protect the vital points, but under this level of attack, I am afraid that it is of little significance. Leaf Hurricane. Seeing that he was about to be shot by a hedgehog, at this moment, a figure suddenly appeared in front of him. With a soft drink, he kicked directly at the shot chibin. Even using. This person suddenly fell from the sky, which really surprised the watermelon puffer ghost, but when he saw that the other party used kicking skills to resist his chinbin, he couldn't help but sneered again. How could this kind of thousands of books be completely kicked away? And with the sharpness and strength of his chinbin, not only can't kick it, but it will pierce his leg. Quote. How come? Just as the puffer fish ghost was proud, his face changed drastically. I saw the opponent kicked out, engulfing the strong air current. His thousands of thousands, like goose feathers, were swept away in an instant. It may not be easy to come. The pufferfish ghost frowned, then stepped back, hiding in the thick fog again. It's very fast. Rayya smiled at the corner of his mouth, then turned to Hinata behind him and asked. It's okay. No, Rayya. Hinata just recovered, and when he saw that the person was Rayya, he couldn't help being excited. Great, as long as Rayya comes, everything will be fine. 7 ninja swords, 7 people. Rescue Hinata here. Rayya can't help but frown as he looks at the dense fog around him. This technique should be the Mist Shinobi technique. There are a total of 7 hidden enemies in it. In this way, it should be the 7 ninjas of Impure World Reincarnation. The 7 ninja swords are 7 people, Kurigakure's elite Jonin, who specializes in performing various difficult tasks for Mizukage. It is said that the 7 of them can join forces to conquer a small country overnight. And the 7 ninja swords of Impure World Reincarnation are the strongest in history. Although the Blowfish Ghost and the Ghost Lamp Full Moon have no corresponding swords, they should not be underestimated. In this month, because the enemy was only harassing, the strong of Impure World Reincarnation rarely showed up, and the 7 ninjas and 7 people only showed up twice, but each time they caused huge damage to the coalition forces. No wonder it was a strong enemy, and the coalition forces had to send Rayya. Rayya, what should I do? With the help of the thick fog, the 7 people and the 7 people were still there, waiting for an opportunity to act. Hinata was anxious and couldn't help asking. Quote. Rayya did not respond, but focused. Under this dense fog, he can't see the enemy, but with the radar ear, he can grasp the movements of everyone. Earth style, earth flow wall. After a while, Rayya suddenly yelled and slapped Kian with both hands on the ground. Boom. Immediately after that, a twisted earth wall suddenly rose up, directly separating the coalition army and the 7 people on both sides. This is. Also don't separate. Hinata, seeing this scene, can't help but look surprised. Almost across the entire island, hundreds of meters high, the earth flow wall of such a scale is really shocking. The most important thing is that in this thick fog, a wall of earth separates the enemy and us who are even at war in an instant. It is so accurate, it is simply amazing. Great. Looking back, Hinata was happy for a while. With this earth wall isolated, the coalition forces are temporarily safe. At the same time, I can't help but think that it is worthy of being a earth wall that guards the world. Rayya. But then, seeing Rayya on the other side of the wall facing 7 powerful enemies alone, Hinata was worried again. Then ran up to the dirt wall, going to help Rayya. Although her strength is far less than Rayya, she who owns Byakugan, at least will not become a burden. A terrific earth-style ninjutsu. At the same time, the 7 people and 7 people also recovered and couldn't help but admire. At the same time, I hope that this new powerful ninja can stop them. As people who are dead, whether it is the Blowfish Ghost who died for Mist Shinobi and others, or those who have betrayed number 2, they actually don't want to participate in this war. Just because of being manipulated by Impure World Reincarnation, you can't help it. Kill him. At this moment, the 7 people and 7 congregations received orders again, their will was suppressed, and they had to rush to Rayya. Among the 7 members of the 7 ninja swords, the Peach Land, known as the Ghost Man, will be used as the center of offensive and defensive. No longer is good at water-style ninjutsu and assassination, and he was famous in the ninja world for silent killing during his lifetime. At this time, the 7 people rushed to Rayya, and at his fastest speed, they quietly approached behind Rayya, and then raised the beheading knife in their hands. Rayya. Hinata, who had just ran to the top of the earth wall, suddenly saw this scene, her face changed drastically, and she couldn't help shouting for reminders. But it is a pity that the big knife that will not be cut has been cut. Puff. Then, with a muffled noise, blood splashed all over. If you don't cut his face without expression, this genius ninja is too young after all, it seems that he can't stop him. Pong. But at this moment, Ryuya's body was chopped into 2 pieces and suddenly turned into 2 pieces of wooden stakes. When it turned out to be the body replacement technique, and if he didn't cut his face changed drastically. When is this, he can hide it from his eyes. And most importantly, in this dense fog, how did the other party know in advance that his sneak attack? Whoosh. And at this moment, Rayya, who had moved as a substitute, had already arrived behind him not to be slashed. The silent killing technique without cutting is indeed powerful, but it is impossible to be truly silent. As long as he does something, even the sound of stirring the mist can be heard clearly by Rayya. Leaf Hurricane. Ryuya's face was serious, and he flew without mercy. Pong. Then with a muffled noise, the half of his body that was not cut was instantly kicked and exploded. Wow. Wow. But as a person of Impure World Reincarnation, he will not die due to physical attacks, and the kicked body will begin to recover quickly. Seal. But unfortunately, Ryuya's hands are already attached before he can recover. The 2 hands are yin and yang, and the seal of the 4 elephants is cast. Om. With a hum, countless black lines stretched out from Ryuya's palm, instantly wrapping and not cutting the whole body, forming a black cocoon. Thank you. In the sealed Satsuna, he looked at Rayuya again, showing a smile of relief. This is. At this time, Hinata couldn't help being surprised when he saw that Rayuya was able to get 1 person in an instant. As expected of Rayuya-kun. Immediately afterwards, there was another sweet smile, and he was worthy of being Konoha's hero. Get one person first. Rayya has no expression on his face, and then greets the others. At this time, the mist has not cleared, indicating that among the remaining 6 people, there are still people performing mist shinobi technique. Go to hell, just as Rayya was thinking, trying to find the other one. She rushed to the front, yelling, and slashed. Rayya was holding kunai in his hand, and he wanted to block it, but when he saw the knife, his eyes widened and he quickly stepped back and dodges. Boom, boom. In the next moment, after the enemy missed a knife, many detonating charms suddenly flew out of the blade, and they exploded in an instant. The blasting droplets, the blade that perfectly combines explosion and slashing. Fortunately, Rayya is familiar with the characteristics of these 7 knives, otherwise it would have been a loss just now. Whoosh! And just at this moment, the sound of breaking through the air sounded, and another person, holding a long slender knife like a steel drill, pierced him straight. The needle of a long knife can pierce everything, and the handle is equipped with an imperceptible steel wire, which is called a knife edge that can be sutured. The holder of the blasting knife droplets does not have a plow. 8. The holder of the long knife and stitches, Li Shiquanwan, known as the ruthless duo, really is acting together. Whoosh! Facing the stabbing stitches, Rayya didn't fight with them for the time being, a stand-in moved and disappeared directly from the place. Suddenly lost track of Rayya, all 6 of them were taken aback and looked around at the same time. That's you. At this moment, with a soft drink, Rayuya's figure appeared again, behind a man without a knife in his hand. The 7 ninja swords are named after their special swords. But because the big sword Samahata and the double sword Flounder are now in the hands of Killer Bee and Changjuro, respectively, the corresponding users of the 7 people do not have these 2 swords. As far as Rayuya knows, these 2 people are Watermelon Mountain Pufferfish Ghost and Ghost Light Man Moon respectively. And the Ghost Lantern Full Moon is also good at Mist Shinobi technique. Moreover, looking at his position relatively backward, the person who performed the operation must be him. Cut. After the displacement approached the full moon, Rayuya instantly drew his sword and slashed. Wow! Under the sharp blade, Full Moon's body was instantly chopped in half. But unlike not cutting it again, the body that was chopped off by the full moon did not dissipate, and the dust gathered again to recover. Instead, it turned into a ball of water, and it recovered immediately after being slightly distorted. In this way, Rayuya didn't have time to impose the seal at all. Really, seeing this scene, Rayuya was not surprised. Ghost Lantern Full Moon is the brother of Ghost Lantern Shueyu. Their Ghost Lantern family possesses the physique secret technique of hydration, and they are almost completely immune to physical attacks. Therefore, even if it is not the body of Impure World reincarnation, a simple slash cannot hurt him. Toad Oil Bomb. Rayuya, who has known it a long time ago, was just a test just now, and then with a soft drink, he sprayed a large amount of toad oil from his mouth, instantly covering the full moon. This is the maggot oil that has been strengthened 864 times has become extremely viscous. Even if the body is made of full moon water, it can't get rid of it. Seal. Taking advantage of this opportunity, Rayuya quickly sealed the seal, then stepped forward, touching the Ghost Lantern Full Moon with both hands, and performed the seal technique again. After the 4 elephants are sealed, as long as Rayuya touches with both hands, even Otsutsuki Kagaya can seal. I have to say that the sealing ninja Takagi Rayuya is the biggest nemesis of Impure World reincarnation. Of course, the use of the seal of the 4 elephants needs to be done in advance. Complicated handprints are easy to detect and avoid under normal circumstances. After the full moon of the ghost lamp was sealed, as a gust of wind blew, the fog that enveloped the whale island quickly dissipated. Guessed it. Upon seeing this, Rayuya couldn't help but smile, and the other caster was indeed a full moon. As the fog dissipated, the other 5 of the 7 people, also appeared in front of Rayuya. At this time, the remaining 5 people looked serious and did not immediately rush to Rayuya. After all, under the dense fog shrouded in the situation just now, the 7 of them had not yet built an inch, and 2 of them were sealed. Now the thick fog has cleared, and only 5 of them are left. I am afraid they are not Rayuya's opponents. Speaking of which, Rayuya, who can move as a substitute, originally had a huge advantage over the 7 Ninja 7 who mainly rely on close body art. Right here, everyone go. At this time, the coalition ninja from another place in Tuliubi also jumped over. Without thick fog to obscure their sight, they can finally exert their normal strength. Takagi Rayya. At the same time, thousands of miles away, Orochimaru, who was performing the operation, had a gloomy face, and Lion Majesty's pupils were full of spite. Retreat. There is no chance of winning. If you continue to fight, it will only save the remaining 5 people at the Whale Island. Although not reconciled, there is no other choice. Pong, 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 pong. On the side of the Whale Island, all the coalition forces are about to rush up. 5 coffins suddenly rose from the ground, and the pufferfish ghosts and others were packed in. Then with a muffled sound, it disappeared directly. Have you withdrawn? Rayya groaned slightly and frowned. Impure world reincarnation is actually a variant of summoning, but it replaces the summoning beast with the soul of the dead. Therefore, in addition to the immortal body, you can also release it at any time. Summoning, withdraw from the battlefield. I have to say that it is really difficult. It was a pity that the other 5 people 5 could not be sealed together, but the Whale Island was finally guarded. After the battle, the coalition began to count the casualties and treat the wounded. Rayya-kun. At this time, Hinata ran over and looked grateful, but she didn't know how to thank her, and suddenly bowed to Rayya. Thank you. If you didn't arrive in time, I really don't know. Thanks. Rayya interrupted Hinata, patted her shoulder comfortably, and said softly. You have done well. I will work harder. Hinata struggled to hold back her tears and nodded vigorously. Facing the 7 ninja swords in the dense fog, Hinata was not afraid. Even if he died on the battlefield, it was only a ninja's destiny. What really made her sad was the feeling of powerlessness that she couldn't help but seeing her teammates being killed one by one. And just when she was almost desperate, Rayya appeared. At this time, she couldn't help but remember that in the ninja school, Rayya was also a crane tail. But now, he has become such a reliable partner. And in this, how much did he have to put in? Efforts. Just thinking of this, Hinata said, I'll work harder, and she didn't say a word, I'll work hard like Rayya-kun. You evacuate the Whale Island. As Hinata's thoughts were flying, Rayya looked around and suddenly said something. Evacuate. Hinata couldn't help being stunned. Their mission is to garrison the Whale Island. How can they easily evacuate? I'm here to communicate with the headquarters. Immediately afterwards, Rayya concentrated and began to call the headquarters. The intelligence department of the coalition forces is headed by the head of the Konoha Yamanaka clan, Yamanaka Keiichi. He is proficient in the heart turn technique, and can communicate with any coalition ninja on the battlefield through a huge amplification device. It is with his powerful ability to quickly submit the intelligence of the battlefield to the command, and at the same time give orders to the coalition forces from the command. At this time, Rayya concentrated on Yamanaka Keiichi. I understand. After being contacted, Rayya will say it again, and Yamanaka Hayaki immediately informed the headquarters. After a while, the command issued an order to make Hinata and others withdraw from the Whale Island. Yes, now that the command has been ordered, Hinata and the others naturally did not hesitate. Immediately after the initial treatment of the wounded, with the corpse of the sacrificed ninja, everyone boarded the boat and returned to land. Rayya. As the ship drifted away from the Whale Island, Hinata couldn't help but look back. At this time, only Rayya is left on the island. Is he going to be alone on the Whale Island? That is. At this moment, a dazzling red light lit up, and suddenly a giant great fireball appeared in the sky. Then, one after another, fireballs appeared, like meteorites falling from the sky, whizzing down to the Whale Island. Boom, boom, boom. In the next moment, dozens of fireballs fell almost indiscriminately across the Whale Island, and then in the skyrocketing flames, there was a deafening noise. Wow! Wow! Although it is already far away from the small island, but the impact of the explosion, the strong wind and waves caused by it, violently shook the coalition ships. What happened? What the hell is that? Standing on the deck, watching this scene like a natural disaster, everyone in the coalition army was full of horror. That's Rayya-kun's technique. Hinata had already recovered and couldn't help but smile with a hint of pride. At the same time, She instantly wanted to understand that Rayya asked them to evacuate, not to stand alone, but to destroy the Whale Island. Since this small island is so important, it is better to destroy it than. In fact, this method is very simple, but it is easy to destroy an island. This is simply the power of a god. Ordinary people who dare to think, it is done. Rayya, who placed dozens of nuclear fireballs one after another and moved to the sea in the distance, couldn't help but smile when he looked at the shattered and sunken island. After the mission was completed, he returned to the coalition headquarters. On the way back, Rayya suddenly got two news. First, Sasuke escaped. After Sasuke was captured by Rayya and returned to Konoha, he handed it to the torture department, hoping to learn more about Akatsuki from him. But unfortunately, as an elite ninja, Sasuke who owns Mangekyo Sharingan is not easy to deal with, so after such a long time, no information was asked. And just this morning, because of the caretaker's negligence, or underestimated the power of Sasuke Mangekyo Sharingan, he successfully escaped from prison. Sasuke escaped, and not only couldn't interrogate Akatsuki's intelligence anymore. Moreover, Akatsuki added another member of Admiral, which is really terrible news for the coalition forces. Second, Black Zetsu attacked the daimyo. As the leader of the countries, the daimyo was taken to a shelter at the beginning of the war, and Mizukage Terumime led a team of guards to protect him. Although the shelter was extremely secretive, Akatsuki detected it and attacked it. Fortunately, the guards took proper precautions and repelled the enemy in time, and the lords were not harmed. The invasion of the Whale Island and the attack on the daimyo proceeded one after another. According to the analysis of the command headquarters, this invasion of Whale Island seemed to be a strategic location. In fact, it was to attract the attention of the coalition forces and distract the strength of the coalition forces, so as to prepare for the attack on the daimyo. I have to say that Akatsuki's play is really beautiful. The reason for not succeeding is because the coalition forces still have a secret weapon, Rayya, and they did not deploy a team of guards to help the Whale Island. Coercion. As for why Akatsuki attacked daimyo, besides creating panic, the biggest reason is probably that he wanted to hijack daimyo and force the 5 villages to surrender the tail beast. As the war progressed, Akatsuki's conspiracy began to surface gradually. I hope everyone will support it and subscribe more.